Chapter 87. The Longevity Mountain was beautiful and filled with spiritual energy. It was like an immortal's abode. Rays of auspicious light filled the air, and clouds rose. It was very peaceful. However, the back of the mountain was a different scene. In this huge valley, there were jagged rocks everywhere. The ground was grayish-black, and there were no plants or trees. There was almost no spiritual energy. It was as if the back of the mountain had become a land of death. When Ling Xiao arrived at the back of the mountain, this was the scene he saw. The rocks under his feet creaked. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with deep thought. It was as if he was thinking of something from a long time ago. The atmosphere was a little tense. Seeing that Ling Xiao was silent, Lu Chuanxiong and the other two did not speak either. They followed Ling Xiao into the depths of the mountain. Ling Xiao walked around the back of the mountain silently. The weak life energy from before appeared faintly. Ling Xiao walked slowly, as if he was very casual. Finally, he stood in front of a huge green rock. He pointed at it and said, "Move it away." Lu Chuanxiong and Gu Zhong were taken aback, but they moved without hesitation. This huge green rock was as tall as a few people and weighed hundreds of thousands of kilograms. Lu Chuanxiong and Gu Zhong could not move it. Boom! They punched out decisively. Violent energy exploded from their bodies. After dozens of punches, the green rock was shattered. They moved the huge blue stone away, revealing a small depression. In the middle of the depression, there was an inch-tall seedling. It only had 3 leaves, and it looked green and full of vitality. This back of the mountain is barren. It's a land of death. There's actually a seedling here. Wang Han also noticed the sapling, and a hint of surprise flashed across her eyes. This seedling looked very ordinary. It did not emit any spiritual energy. However, it was very strange for it to appear in this barren mountain. "It's really you, the path understanding tree." Ling Xiao sighed softly. There was surprise in his eyes, but there was also a hint of sadness. This was the first time Lu Chuanxiong and the other two had heard of the path understanding tree. They were all puzzled. However, if it was 10,000 years ago, the path understanding tree's name would be known all over the world. It was comparable to the strongest person in the world, the sky-devouring supreme. Because the path understanding tree was the #1 innate spiritual root on the war god continent. It was rumored that the path understanding tree was born from the primal chaos when the world was first created. It was even older than the war god continent and was the #1 primordial spirit root. Wherever the path understanding tree was, the area within a radius of 1,000 miles would be a blessed land. The path understanding tree could automatically gather the purest heaven and earth spirit chi. Furthermore, cultivating under the path understanding tree allowed one to better understand the laws of heaven and earth. There were almost no cultivation bottlenecks. Cultivating under the path understanding tree was almost 1,000 miles a day. Even a pig could become a supreme under the path understanding tree. There was even a legend that the path understanding tree would only bear fruit once every 1,000 years. The path understanding fruit could allow one to directly comprehend a martial path divine ability. It was extremely miraculous. The path understanding tree had countless benefits. It could be said that having the path understanding tree was equivalent to having the entire war god continent's destiny. The path understanding tree from 10,000 years ago was obtained by Ling Xiao through a bloody battle. He killed several supreme experts and snatched it from a forbidden zone. He then placed it in the longevity sect. However, at that time, the path understanding tree was thousands of feet tall with lush leaves. It was like the cover of the sky, turning the entire longevity sect into a sea of spirit chi. It could be said that the longevity sect was able to become the #1 martial path divine realm 10,000 years ago partly because of Ling Xiao and partly because of the path understanding tree. Furthermore, the path understanding tree was not only the guardian tree of the Changshan sect, it was also the entrance to the Changshan secret realm. The Changshan secret realm was a small space created by Ling Xiao. There were countless precious spiritual herbs, mystical spiritual beasts, and treasures inside for the disciples of the Changshan sect to train. 10,000 years had passed. Not only was the longevity secret realm long gone, but the path understanding tree had also disappeared without a trace. Ling Xiao naturally knew that when he was alive 10,000 years ago, the entire world had submitted to him. Naturally, no one dared to covet the path understanding tree. However, after his death, the longevity sect still had the longevity paragon Jin Sei, but they did not have the power to suppress the entire world. Those who coveted the path understanding tree naturally jumped out. After Ling Xiao was reborn, he did not sense the aura of the longevity secret realm in the path understanding tree. He knew that they had long disappeared. However, he did not expect that under the power of the wordless heavenly book, he would be able to sense a trace of the path understanding tree's aura. He even found a sapling of the path understanding tree. Perhaps this sapling was the seed left behind by the path understanding tree after it underwent nirvana. By chance, it had taken root and sprouted in the longevity sect. The path understanding tree is the sect protecting divine tree of our longevity sect. It is the #1 spiritual root in the world, a treasure that countless people are jealous of. You will know its various benefits in the future. Remember, you must not reveal any information about the path understanding tree. Ling Xiao warned Lu Chuanxiong and the other two. The #1 spiritual root in the world. Although Lu Chuanxiong and the other two did not know what it meant, they could tell from Ling Xiao's serious expression that this path understanding tree was not ordinary. Go and invite the sect leader and the great elder here. Ling Xiao instructed. Lu Chuanxiong and the other two left the back of the mountain and headed towards the longevity hall. Ling Xiao squatted down carefully and used his spiritual energy to probe the path understanding tree. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that although the path understanding tree's life energy was extremely pure, it was incomparably weak. It was like a candle in the wind, about to be extinguished at any time. This was clearly a sign of a congenital deficiency. The path understanding tree was the #1 spiritual root in the world. The environment it grew in was extremely harsh. If not for the fact that this was where the path understanding tree grew and left behind a trace of pure life energy, the sapling would have died long ago. The reason why this area was turned into a wasteland was because the path understanding tree had absorbed the surrounding life energy. Even so, it was barely holding on. If nothing was done, the tree of enlightenment would completely die in a few months. Looks like it's time to refine the heaven-seizing elixir. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he made a decision. Not long after, 2 gusts of wind could be heard. Nangong Xian and the great elder arrived together. Ling Xiao, why are you looking for us 2 old men? Nangong Xian smiled. His eyes were filled with curiosity. Hearing Lu Chuanxiong and the other two's tone, Ling Xiao seemed to be looking for them for something very important. Do you know what it is? Ling Xiao did not raise his head. He continued to look at the path understanding tree. This is, the back of the mountain, this barren land, actually gave birth to a sapling? Holy Sun, is there something special about this seedling? The great elder also exclaimed softly, a trace of surprise in his eyes. It's called the path understanding tree. 10,000 years ago, it was the guardian tree of the longevity sect. Ling Xiao's voice was very calm as he slowly explained the history of the path understanding tree. When Ling Xiao finished, Nangong Xian and the great elder were already dumbfounded. Chapter 88. First innate spiritual root. Path understanding tree. The grand elder was so excited that he stuttered. He didn't know that the longevity sect actually had a heaven-defying path understanding tree 10,000 years ago. After all, it had been too long, so long that the records of the path understanding tree had long disappeared in the long river of time. Ling Xiao, are you saying that this path understanding tree is inherently deficient? Nangong Xian, on the other hand, was rather calm as he heard the crux of Ling Xiao's words. That's right. This path understanding tree, if I'm not wrong, should be the sapling of the path understanding tree from 10,000 years ago. It's just that our longevity sect has declined and is unable to support this path understanding tree sapling. Even if it absorbs all the vitality in this area, it's just barely hanging on. Ling Xiao sighed softly. Then what should we do? This is the first natural spiritual root. If the path understanding tree grows up, it will be able to protect my longevity gate for thousands of years. This is the foundation of 10,000 generations. Saint, is there any way to save the path understanding sapling? The first elder asked anxiously. That's right. Ling Xiao, think of something. We can't just watch the path understanding sapling die like this, can we? Nangong Xian began to panic. There is a way, and it's not difficult. However, a natural spiritual root like the path understanding tree can only be saved by the heaven-seizing liquid. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Heaven-seizing liquid? Could it be the heaven-seizing elixir created by the heaven-devouring supreme ancestor 10,000 years ago? Seizing the fortune of heaven and earth, reversing yin and yang, life and death, it had unimaginable effects. It was just that the heaven-seizing elixir shouldn't be that easy to refine, right? Even if Ling Xiao you have the heaven-seizing elixir's refining method, I'm afraid that even an alchemy grandmaster might not be able to refine it. The first elder's eyes lit up, but then he became worried. The great name of the heaven-seizing elixir, as an alchemist, the great elder was naturally very clear about it. But the heaven-seizing elixir had long been lost. Even if Ling Xiao obtained the inheritance of the heaven-devouring patriarch and knew the refining method of the heaven-seizing elixir, no one could refine it. Don't worry, I'll refine the heaven-seizing liquid. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke resolutely. Holy Sun. The first elder didn't finish his sentence, but from his expression, it was clear that he didn't quite believe it. After all, Ling Xiao's monstrous talent lay in his martial arts talent, not his alchemy talent. Don't worry, I still have some confidence. These are the materials needed for the heaven-seizing elixir. You all quickly go and prepare. Ling Xiao took out a jade talisman and inscribed the various materials required for the heaven-seizing elixir on it with his spiritual force, then passed it to First Elder. Alright, let's go get ready. The First Elder and Nangong Xian nodded and hurriedly left. After Nangong Xian left, he knew the importance of the path understanding tree. He ordered Lu Chuanxiong, Gu Zhong, and Wang Han to lead some disciples to seal off the forbidden area at the back of the mountain, forbidding anyone from entering or leaving. Old buddy, don't worry, I'll definitely refine the heaven-seizing liquid for you. Ling Xiao muttered to himself, his eyes revealing a trace of determination. Although a supreme treasure like the heaven-seizing elixir was very difficult to refine, it was created by Ling Xiao in his previous life. Ling Xiao was naturally very familiar with its refining method. And most importantly, although Ling Xiao's current spiritual force wasn't very strong, the wordless heavenly book had a strange enhancement effect on spiritual force. Therefore, Ling Xiao also had a certain degree of confidence in refining the heaven-seizing elixir. Although the heaven-seizing elixir had the miraculous effect of seizing the good fortune of heaven and earth, it could reverse yin and yang and bring the dead back to life, and it was even more beneficial to a martial artist's cultivation. It contained a trace of the power of the heavenly Tao and could help a martial artist break through bottlenecks. The precious part of the heaven-seizing elixir was its mysterious refining method. The materials weren't very precious, but it required no less than 1,000 kinds of spirit herbs and countless demonic beast blood essences as supplementary herbs. Under Nangong Xian and the First Elder's orders, the entire longevity sect mobilized with all their might. Gathering the treasures of longevity sect, all pleasure sect, and Sky Demon Palace, they gathered more than half of the spirit herbs required for the heaven-seizing elixir. Nangong Xian also sent people to Longevity City to purchase some of them. As for the other elders, they led the disciples to Beast Mountain to kill all kinds of beasts and collect their blood essences. In the forbidden grounds at the back of the mountain, Ling Xiao wasn't idle either. He took 1,000,000 supreme-grade spirit stones from Nangong Xian, which was almost 90% of the longevity sect's inventory. Nangong Xian's heart ached so much that he wanted to jump up. Around the path understanding sapling, Ling Xiao had already dug out 100 zhang-wide pit. 1,000,000 peerless grade spirit stones were placed in the middle of the pit. The supreme grade spirit stones were only the size of a longan fruit, but they contained incomparably pure spiritual energy. When 1,000,000 supreme grade spirit stones were piled together, it even turned into a bright spiritual mist. Ling Xiao used the 1,000,000 supreme grade spirit stones to set up a large array to gather the pure spiritual energy and the power of the dragon vein to replenish the path understanding sapling's spiritual energy. Boom! Following the completion of the formation, a resplendent brilliance enveloped the entire back mountain. Thousands of strands of auspicious qi, tens of thousands of rays of multicolored light, and an endless amount of essence energy, as if converging into the sea, crazily surged towards the path understanding tree in the center. The path understanding sapling was green, and its 3 leaves shone brighter, giving off a mysterious aura. This shocking scene caused Nangong Xian and the first elder's eyes to widen. Sect leader, don't feel the pinch. These 1,000,000 supreme grade spirit stones are only enough for the path understanding sapling for a day. After a day, they will all turn into ashes. Ling Xiao said with a smile. What? Only enough for the path understanding sapling for a day? This is a huge loss. 1,000,000 supreme grade spirit stones is enough for our longevity sect to nurture over 100 evolved Jing masters. Now, it's all used on the path understanding sapling. Nangong Xian said with a pained expression. Sect leader, this is the first inborn spiritual root, not some cabbage. Once the path understanding sapling grows, it will not even care about spiritual stones. It might not even absorb spiritual crystals. When the path understanding sapling grows, you will know that not even 10 billion supreme grade spirit stones can compare to a single leaf of the path understanding sapling. Ling Xiao said with a slight smile, a hint of anticipation in his eyes. I hope that the path understanding sapling is as magical as you say. Nangong Xian felt a little better, and he turned his head away, not wanting to look at the ashes of the supreme grade spirit stones. A day passed, and the entire longevity sect was mobilized. All the ingredients needed for the heaven-seizing elixir were gathered. A total of 1,024 spiritual herbs were stored in jade boxes and sent to the back of the mountain. The blood essence of 360 beasts were also stored in jade bottles and sent to the back of the mountain. Only Nangong Xian, the first elder, Nangong Qing, and Lu Piapiao could enter the back of the mountain. Lu Chuanxiong, Jian Wuk, Zhuo Zhen, Deng Yalan, and a few other elders guarded the entrance of the valley, not allowing anyone to disturb them. Chapter 89. Buzz. The 6 Suns cauldron emitted a scarlet glow as it flew out of the longevity ring and landed on the ground, emitting a buzzing sound. The 6 Suns cauldron was simple and unadorned. It had 6 sides, and each side had the image of a sun carved with runes. It was blazing with flames and overflowing with scarlet light, emitting a powerful aura. Ling Xiao knew that the 6 suns were a kind of array formation that came with the 6 Suns cauldron, the 6 Suns quenching array. It could increase the power of the flames by 60%. It was very miraculous. Ordinary alchemists used earth fire to refine pills. This way, they could conserve their mental energy and increase their tolerance. However, Ling Xiao did not plan to use earth fire to refine pills this time. Instead, he planned to use his own Chaos Golden Lotus Flame to refine pills. The Chaos Golden Lotus Flame was a spiritual fire of heaven and earth. If it was pushed to the extreme, it would be stronger than earth fire and could be controlled as one wished. However, using one's own true fire to refine pills consumed a lot of one's true qi and mental energy. Even ordinary alchemy masters would not dare to try it easily. However, the heaven-seizing liquid was of great importance, and Ling Xiao was prepared to go all out. The Holy Sun is too careless this time. It's too difficult to refine the heaven-seizing liquid with one's own true fire. The great elder thought to himself as a trace of worry appeared in his eyes. On the other hand, Lu Piapiao's eyes were filled with anticipation. Ling Xiao had long been synonymous with miracles in her heart. He could even refine lost ancient pills like the 7 profound treasure pill and the dragon transformation pill. What else could he not refine? Buzz! Ling Xiao took a deep breath as a glint flashed in his eyes. His true qi surged as he adjusted his essence, energy, and spirit to the peak. He patted the 6 suns cauldron, and a golden lotus appeared in his palm and slowly flew toward the 6 suns cauldron. That was the chaos golden lotus flame. The moment it appeared, the void distorted as the temperature rose abruptly. Whoosh! The resplendent golden lotus overflowed with brilliance. It actually split into 6 golden lotuses in an instant and merged into the 6 sun patterns on the 6 suns cauldron. Boom! An incomparably hot flame rose. The 6 suns cauldron seemed to be enveloped by a flaming dragon as it began to rapidly turn red. The runes on the cauldron were activated as 6 blazing suns soared into the sky, emitting mysterious fluctuations as its aura became stronger and stronger. This was the first step, preheating the pill cauldron. The first elder and Lu Piapiao's eyes lit up when Ling Xiao created 6 golden lotuses and 6 rising suns. Even Nangong Xian, who didn't know alchemy, felt that Ling Xiao's move was extremely stunning. The 6 resplendent suns became more and more resplendent. In the end, the area around the 6 sun cauldron was incomparably hot. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and his hands quickly formed a seal. Wang! 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 The 6 suns cauldron trembled slightly and actually floated up. It was as if it was being supported by 6 suns, transforming into a blazing multicolored light. At the same time, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and the Jin Qi around his body transformed into numerous Jin Qi hands. They actually grabbed the 1024 precious spirit herbs and threw them into the 6 yang cauldron like streaks of light, beginning to refine the essence of the spirit herbs. Lu Piapiao's eyes lit up in an instant. She stared at Ling Xiao's gesture intently, not daring to relax a little. The great elder was dumbfounded. He's actually refining more than 1,000 types of spiritual herbs at the same time. How is this possible? The great elder stuttered, and his eyes were filled with incomparable shock. What's impossible about it? Do you know where the 7 profound treasure pill that you consumed came from? The 7 profound treasure pills formula was given to my master, Master Jiao Mu, by Ling Xiao. When Ling Xiao was in the Jinqi realm, he had refined spirit herbs at the same time and refined the long-lost dragon transformation pill. These 1,000 types of spirit herbs should be nothing to him. Lu Piapiao giggled, full of confidence in Ling Xiao. Looks like I'm really old. The saint is a martial prodigy, and even in the path of alchemy, he's also a peerless genius. The great elder's eyes lit up. He suppressed the shock in his heart and became more and more expectant. Is this brat really so powerful? Nangong Qing's beautiful eyes also widened. She was somewhat in disbelief, but also slightly excited and proud. Ong! 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 The flames in the 6 suns cauldron burned fiercely, and the 1,000 types of spirit herbs shook within it. They were swept up by the flames and very ingeniously began to melt. At the same time, 3 strange dragon roars sounded. The 1,000 types of spirit herbs were actually wrapped in golden flames and instantly turned into 3 golden flaming dragons, surging within the 6 suns cauldron. Boom! The 6 suns cauldron shone brightly, and the speed of Ling Xiao's hands forming seals became faster and faster. His eyes were focused, and without any pause, the seals formed by his hands were like afterimages. The 3 flaming dragons surged and rotated in the 6 suns cauldron, intertwining with each other. Moreover, under these strange vibrations, those spiritual medicines turned into resplendent stars. They were scattered within the 6 yang cauldron, speckling like stars. It was extremely wondrous. The 3 flame dragons seemed to be wandering in the Milky Way. The flames were very strange. They didn't damage the essence of the spirit herbs at all. Often, the impurities in the spirit herbs were completely extracted, and in the end, they intertwined together to form a magical dragon galaxy diagram. This was the fire control technique of the three dragons playing with a pearl. After Ling Xiao broke through to become an upper-grade alchemist, his mastery of this fire control technique had increased by another level. Open for me. When the essence of the spirit herbs in the galaxy slowly condensed into a circular shape, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and the 360 jade bottles exploded at the same time. The blood essence of the 360 types of ferocious beasts fell into the six suns cauldron like a rain of light. Roar! A golden lion with shiny fur and a monstrous aura descended towards a star in the galaxy. Boom! A lightning dragon soared through the void. Its purple dragon scales were vivid and lifelike. It swept across the sky and rushed into the river of stars. Roar! 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 More and more ferocious beasts rushed towards the six suns cauldron as if they were a flood. Thus, everyone saw a wondrous scene. The stars in the galaxy seemed to have a life of their own. Countless ferocious beasts' blood essence turned into phantoms of ferocious beasts and rushed in, erupting into a terrifying galaxy storm. Rumble! In the end, the three flaming dragons also rushed in. The boundless galaxy seemed to be splitting the sky and earth, and a violent explosion occurred. A mysterious brilliance like a nebula enveloped all the fluctuations of the explosion, and slowly sank into the six suns cauldron. A terrifying and mysterious aura was being nurtured, and it slowly grew stronger. Buzz! Chapter 90. The true energy in Ling Xiao's body was also constantly being consumed. However, under the full power of the heaven-devouring spirit seed, the surrounding spiritual energy was all devoured by Ling Xiao, replenishing the consumption in his body, allowing him to continue refining. But even so, Ling Xiao's spiritual energy was almost on the verge of drying up. If not for the wordless heavenly book's protection, perhaps the refining of the heaven-seizing elixir this time would have failed. The refining was nearing the end. Boom! In the next moment, the six-yang cauldron suddenly began to spew out endless brilliance. Tens of thousands of rays of multicolored light, and auspicious vapors rose. The endless intense divine light turned into a vortex, and began to crazily devour the surrounding heaven and earth spiritual energy. Rumble! The spiritual energy within 1,000 miles was all devoured by the six suns cauldron. A resplendent auspicious cloud appeared in the void, and the scene was astonishing. Condense for me. Ling Xiao did not care that his entire body was soaked in sweat. He shouted loudly and formed the Aquarius seal with both hands. Suddenly, the six suns cauldron shook violently, and a resplendent brilliance rushed into the sky. No one could describe the brilliance at this moment. It was as if they were in the divine world, and heaven and earth were enveloped by a vast white light. A ball of liquid flowing with rainbow light slowly floated up from the six suns cauldron. This is the heaven-seizing elixir. It's so beautiful. Lu Piapiao and Nangong Qing's eyes lit up, and their eyes became somewhat blurred. Ha ha ha. Saints' attainments in alchemy are simply earth-shattering. This old man really prostrates himself in admiration. He actually really refined the heaven-seizing elixir. The first elder was so excited that he danced with joy. His white beard stood up, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Finally succeeded. Nangong Xian's tightly clenched fists relaxed slightly. His palms were full of sweat, and a large stone in his heart fell to the ground. After all, the legend of the heaven-seizing elixir was too magical. No matter how monstrous Ling Xiao was, Nangong Xian and the first elder were not completely confident that Ling Xiao could refine the heaven-seizing elixir. Their hearts were still filled with apprehension. At this moment, they were completely relieved. It's not over yet. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of solemnity as he looked above the void. Rumble! The moment the heaven-seizing elixir appeared, dark clouds filled the void, and violent winds blew. Suddenly, black lightning exploded above the 9 heavens. A powerful and terrifying aura completely enveloped the heaven-seizing liquid below. Lightning flashed, and the heavenly might was like a prison. The lightning above the 9 heavens was as resplendent as the Milky Way, falling down, exuding a world-destroying might. This is a pill tribulation. The heaven-seizing elixir actually really had a pill tribulation. The great elder cried out in surprise, his eyes filled with shock. Although he had heard of the legendary heaven-seizing elixir seizing the good fortune of heaven and earth, and that once it was born, a pill tribulation would descend, this was still the first time the first elder had seen a pill tribulation. How could he not be shocked and excited? Pill tribulation must be withstood by the medicinal pill itself. External forces have no way of helping. I wonder if the heaven-seizing liquid refined by Holy Sun can withstand the pill tribulation. The great elder's eyes revealed a trace of worry. Ling Xiao's gaze was also slightly solemn. However, the pill tribulation was a step that had to be experienced. Only by experiencing the pill tribulation would the heaven-seizing liquid be able to truly give birth to a trace of creation vitality. Only then would it be considered a true heaven-seizing liquid. Rumble. A silver-colored lightning tribulation the thickness of an arm rumbled down, its speed swift to the extreme, instantly landing on the heaven-seizing elixir. The heaven-seizing elixir trembled slightly and was directly drowned by the silver-colored lightning tribulation. Endless lightning flashed, an aura of destruction emitting out. Just as everyone was worried, the lightning flashes disappeared. The heaven-seizing elixir was unscathed. Furthermore, it became increasingly resplendent and dazzling, akin to a ball of immortal nectar, emitting waves of fragrance, making people feel greatly invigorated. Good, blocked. The great elder and Nangong Xian both heaved a sigh in relief in their hearts. But the next bolt of lightning tribulation landed again, making their hearts rise to their throats again. Rumble. The heaven-seizing elixir's pill tribulation had a total of 9 bolts. Furthermore, each one was stronger than the last. It was heaven and earth sensing, sending down a lightning tribulation to destroy the heaven-defying thing. Following that, another 7 bolts of lightning tribulation landed, but they were all blocked by the heaven-seizing elixir. Furthermore, it started to undergo a kind of transformation, sublimating to the extreme. Rumble. The last bolt of lightning tribulation landed, thick like a water bucket, pitch black, containing an aura of destruction, connecting heaven and earth, directly slamming onto the heaven-seizing elixir. Furthermore, horrifying lightning flashes erupted, submerging the entire back mountain forbidden area. This bolt of lightning tribulation only completely dissipated after a long time. And when Ling Xiao saw that ball of resplendent heaven-seizing elixir in midair, 9 colored lights spreading out, gorgeous and dazzling, emitting myriad rays of light, only then did Ling Xiao completely let out a sigh in relief. Buzz! The heaven-seizing elixir trembled slightly and actually seemed to have a life of its own, turning into a streak of flowing light and was about to fly away. Want to leave? Come back for me. A light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. A large hand of true energy grabbed over, instantly grabbing the heaven-seizing elixir back, and carefully putting it away into a jade bottle. The moment he relaxed, Ling Xiao immediately felt a splitting headache, mental strength overdraft, virtually almost on the verge of drying up. His complexion was pale, and he could not even stand steadily, directly sitting on the ground. Ling Xiao, are you all right? Nangong Qing's expression changed, hurriedly rushing up to help Ling Xiao up. The expressions of Nangong Xian and the rest also changed, hurriedly walking over, their eyes revealing worried looks. I'm fine. Just somewhat overdraft mental strength, that's all. I'll be fine after resting for a while. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He simply directly sat down cross-legged and opened the jade bottle in his hand. The heaven-seizing elixir emitted a sparkling and translucent light, trembling slightly. This bottle of heaven-seizing elixir looked like there were only several dozen drops in total. Ling Xiao directly poured out a drop of heaven-seizing elixir and swallowed it in one gulp. The heaven-seizing elixir contained boundless vitality, seizing the good fortune of heaven and earth. It was extremely beneficial to martial artists naturally choking to death. Ling Xiao currently overdrafted his mind and physical strength and naturally swallowed a drop without the slightest courtesy to recover his own consumption, and also to test the effects of the heaven-seizing elixir. Bang! A drop of heaven-seizing elixir entering his abdomen, a resplendent glow suddenly surged around Ling Xiao's body. An incomparably powerful life aura emitted from his body. The true energy and mental strength exhausted within Ling Xiao's body were all recovering rapidly. In a mere 15 minutes, Ling Xiao leaped up, both eyes glowing with divine light, aura powerful. He actually already recovered to his peak state. The effects of a drop of heaven-seizing elixir were far from just this. Ling Xiao originally planned on breaking through another level of cultivation in one go. But after he completely recovered, the remaining energy was actually directly snatched away by the wordless heavenly book, making Ling Xiao rather depressed in his heart. Good. Now that the heaven-seizing elixir is refined successfully, next is the moment to let us witness a miracle. Ling Xiao smiled slightly and walked over toward the Tao Comprehension Tree sapling, his eyes revealing a hint of anticipation. Chapter 91. The phenomenon of refining the heaven-seizing elixir shocked many of the longevity sect's disciples, making them feel that the back mountain was unfathomable. Nangong Xian ordered some elders to calm the disciples and prevent them from causing a disturbance. Ling Xiao brought the heaven-seizing elixir to the path understanding sapling. Nangong Xian, the great elder, Nangong Qing, and Lu Piapiao all looked at Ling Xiao, their eyes filled with anticipation. Would the legendary heaven-seizing elixir have any effect on the first innate spiritual root? After devouring 1,000,000 peerless spirit stones, the path understanding sapling became even more verdant. The veins on the 3 leaves were clear and different. Each leaf seemed to record some kind of mystery of the world. Ling Xiao sensed that the path understanding sapling's aura had stabilized, but its source was still lacking. 1,000,000 peerless spirit stones could only treat the symptoms and not the root cause. Heaven-seizing elixir, it's up to you. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He opened the jade bottle and a drop of heaven-seizing elixir appeared. It contained a rich aura of life, and its fragrance assailed the nostrils. It was like the most resplendent pearl as it slowly dripped down towards the path understanding sapling. Swoosh! The path understanding sapling trembled slightly, and it actually emitted a trace of desire and excitement. The 3 leaves curled up slightly and instantly wrapped around the drop of heaven-seizing elixir. Boom! A majestic aura spread out from the path understanding sapling, and a majestic wave of air rushed out in all directions. The aura was ancient, mysterious, powerful, and contained countless mysteries. After devouring the drop of heaven-seizing elixir, the path understanding sapling glowed, and a grayish-black death aura spread out. The light became even more intense, and strands of runes spread out, making the path understanding sapling look like it was carved out of glass. It was incomparably beautiful. It's really effective. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, revealing a trace of excitement. Next, he only left 3 drops of heaven-seizing elixir, and then scattered dozens of drops of heaven-seizing elixir on the path understanding sapling. This ball of resplendent heaven-seizing elixir was as beautiful as a nebula, containing endless life aura. The path understanding sapling began to cheer. Longevity God Sealing Array, activate. Ling Xiao shouted and primary energy spread out from every part of his body. Both his hands formed hand seals to activate the Great Longevity God Seal Array. Next, a resplendent curtain of light enveloped the entire longevity sect. Before, refining the heaven-seizing elixir was one thing. He had to experience the lightning tribulation. But the path understanding tree was extremely important. In the process of absorbing the heaven-seizing elixir, it would definitely emit a shocking phenomenon. If it was seen by someone with ill intentions, it would be troublesome. Thus, Ling Xiao directly activated the Great Longevity God Seal Array and sealed off the entire Longevity Mountain. Rumble. At the same time, there was an explosion of golden lightning in the sky. The tree of enlightenment began to tremble violently, and the brilliance of the sky enveloped it. Streaks of red light intertwined like divine chains of order, and countless mysterious runes were emitted. It was peaceful, holy, and full of life. Although the path understanding tree was still only an inch tall, it gave everyone the feeling that it was a divine tree that connected the heavens and the earth. It exuded an aura that made them tremble all over. This momentum is really amazing. No wonder it's the first innate spiritual root. The great elder's body trembled as he stared at the transformation of the path understanding tree before him. That's right. It's only an inch tall, but it already has such a shocking aura. It's hard to imagine what it will be like when it grows into a towering tree. Nangong Xian also praised. Boom! The path understanding tree in front of them constantly emitted a black deathly aura. Finally, when the deathly aura completely dissipated, the entire path understanding tree began to emit a 9-colored glow. Then, a resplendent pillar of light shot into the sky. The entire longevity mountain began to shake violently. The path understanding tree began to grow rapidly. The tree's roots penetrated deep into the ground like dragons. The surrounding life energy was frantically absorbed by it. The tree's trunk was uprooted from the ground, and it began to sprout branches and grow verdant leaves. An extremely dense spiritual energy enveloped the surroundings of the path understanding tree, transforming into a spiritual fog. Boom! Lightning flashed in the sky, and thunder boomed. In a radius of 1,000 miles, all the flowers and trees wilted at this moment. Endless vitality was absorbed by the path understanding tree, turning the forbidden area in the back mountain into a sea of spiritual energy. What a dense spiritual energy fluctuation. My cultivation actually broke through. Ha ha ha. I also broke through. This spiritual energy is too pure. I finally broke through to the spirit transformation realm. What are the sect master and the saint doing in the valley? Why did they use such a shocking aura? Outside the forbidden area in the back mountain, many disciples were wild with joy. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and doubt. The crazy surge of life energy allowed many of the longevity sect's disciples to obtain great benefits. Jian Wuk, Zhuo Zhen, Deng Yalan, and the other true disciples already knew some of the truth about the forbidden area. At this moment, when they saw the sky full of life energy, they began to become excited. They knew that they must have succeeded. The forbidden area had already turned into a sea of life. The majestic life energy crazily stimulated the growth of the path understanding tree. Nangong Xian, the great elder, Nangong Qing, and Lu Piapiao's cultivation became even more dense under the cleansing of this life energy. However, they resisted the urge to absorb and refine the life energy. After all, this was the energy that the path understanding tree needed to grow. No problem. It won't affect the growth of the path understanding tree. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Quickly sit down and begin to break through. Ling Xiao smiled at everyone and took the lead to sit down. He began to refine the life energy around him. Boom! Ling Xiao's cultivation had already reached the peak of the 6th level of the spirit transformation realm. Now that he had devoured the endless life energy, he instantly broke through to the 7th level of the spirit transformation realm. As for Lu Piapiao, she broke through to the 4th level of the spirit transformation realm in one go. Nangong Xian and the Great Elder also broke through to the 3rd and 2nd level of the spirit transformation realm respectively. Only Nangong Qing was still at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm. She remembered Ling Xiao's words well. Before she mastered the 7 stars transforming moon sword technique, she would definitely not break through to the dragon tiger tier. Although the life essence did not increase her cultivation level, it had made her life essence more vigorous, and her aura more ethereal. Rumble. In the valley, lightning flashed and divine chains of order intertwined. Mysterious runes spread out, causing Nangong Xian and the others to fall into an ethereal state of Tao comprehension. Although their cultivation did not continue to break through, their martial realms began to increase rapidly. Some of the martial arts secrets that they originally could not comprehend were easily comprehended. Chapter 92. The spirit energy surged and turned into a spirit fog. The entire Longevity Mountain seemed to be shrouded in it. The originally withered flowers, plants, and trees were all filled with vitality at this moment. Not only was the life essence replenished, but it was even stronger. Rumble. After the heaven-seizing liquid replenished the life essence of the enlightenment tree, it erupted with an unimaginable mysterious power. A few hours later, the aura of the enlightenment tree gradually stabilized. The spirit fog that shrouded the Longevity Mountain dissipated. The entire back mountain had undergone earth-shattering changes. Flowers and plants rose from the ground in the valley, emitting a bright light. Spirit herbs grew crazily in the surroundings. The strange flowers and plants emitted a fragrance as if they had turned into a sea of flowers. Especially the epiphany tree in the center. It was only about 10 feet tall and as thick as an arm. However, its branches and leaves were intertwined like coiling dragons. The leaves were verdant and glistening, shrouded in a green glow. The mysterious patterns on the leaves seemed to have merged with the surrounding nature. Endless life energy spread out like a vast ocean. Every living being near the enlightenment tree seemed to have fallen into the most basic laws of the heavens. Their cultivation rapidly increased. Ling Xiao was the first to open his eyes. His cultivation had stabilized at the 7th level of the spirit transformation realm. It wasn't that Ling Xiao didn't want to increase his cultivation, but the wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness was too overbearing. It had devoured 99% of Ling Xiao's life essence. The golden light increased by another 1%. Ling Xiao wanted to cry but had no tears. He didn't know how long it would take for the next secret technique to appear. Shortly after, Nangong Xian, the head elder, Nangong Qing, and Lu Piapiao all woke up. Their eyes were filled with joy. In addition to Nangong Qing, Nangong Xian, the great elder, and Lu Piapiao's cultivation had improved a lot. Their life essence was abundant. Even the wrinkles on the great elder's face had disappeared completely. His face was as rosy as a baby's, and his qi and blood were vigorous. Although Nangong Qing's cultivation was still at the peak of the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm, she was able to cultivate the 7-star moon sword technique to the peak of perfection. 1 sword, 7 stars, kill all who stand in its way. Next, it was time to return to the origin and comprehend the concept of Sword Tao. This path understanding tree is really amazing. No wonder it's the first innate spiritual root. Nangong Xian's cultivation finally broke through to LV4 of the Supreme Power Realm. Looking at the epiphany tree in front of him, his eyes revealed a trace of amazement. That's right. Moreover, I feel that cultivating under the path understanding tree can increase my speed by more than 10 times. Moreover, that kind of aura can clear one's mind and focus one's spirit. It can even slightly improve one's aptitude. Even if an ordinary person were to cultivate under the path understanding tree for a long time, he would also become a martial arts genius. The great elder said with a smile. The path understanding tree is indeed worthy of being called the path understanding tree. It can make people fall into the path understanding realm. With the path understanding tree, our Changsun sect is not inferior to those blessed paradises of the martial Tao. We might even surpass them. However, this path understanding tree is of great importance. We must keep it a secret and not let it leak out. Nangong Qing said solemnly. Nangong Xian and the great elder's expression turned serious as they nodded. The current Changsun sect was still too weak. If a martial Tao holy land like the Wanshou sect were to know about the path understanding tree, they would probably go crazy and snatch it. At that time, the Changsun sect would not be able to resist. Do they dare to covet the treasures of our Changsun sect? Ling Xiao laughed coldly and said, the reason why the Changsun God's sealing array is so weak is because there are no powerful treasures to suppress it. Now that the path understanding tree has awakened, it can be used as the array core of the Changsun God's sealing array. If anyone dares to barge in, even a heaven realm expert would not be able to break through the array. Moreover, with the divine statue of the heaven-devouring ancestor, whoever dares to come will die. Nangong Xian and the great elder's eyes lit up. Unknowingly, the Changsun sect had so many powerful trump cards. Even so, it's better for our Changsun sect to keep a low profile. In the future, this valley will be the forbidden area of the Changsun sect. Without the permission of the Holy Sun and me, no one is allowed to enter. Those elders or true disciples who have contributed greatly and are loyal to the sect can be considered to enter to cultivate. In short, the fewer people who know about the path understanding tree, the better. Nangong Xian said solemnly. Boom. 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 Just then, 3 powerful auras spread out from the Changsun mountain. The clouds shone brightly and the void shook, causing everyone's expression to change. Ha ha ha. Wang Feng, Li Yu and Meng Lei, the 3 elders have finally broken through. From now on, our Changsun sect has 3 more grandmasters. Nangong Xian was stunned. Then, he thought of something and laughed loudly. These 3 elders used to be close to Lin Shan and were all at the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. However, they had been given 7 profound treasured pills by Ling Xiao. Who would have thought that the boundless life essence brought by the awakening of the path understanding tree would allow the 3 of them to break through to the master stage? Ling Xiao, Nangong Xian and the rest walked out of the valley. Outside the valley, the 3 elders were exuding powerful innate true Kang. Their auras were as deep as the sea. Their faces were filled with excitement and surprise. When they saw Nangong Xian and Ling Xiao, the 3 of them immediately knelt on the ground and bowed deeply. Sect leader, Holy Sun, the 3 of us were deceived by Lin Shan and almost committed a grave mistake. Luckily, the Holy Sun did not abandon us and gave us the 7 profound elixir. We have finally broken through to the Grandmaster realm. From now on, our lives belong to the Holy Sun. From now on, we will be loyal to the Holy Sun and the Changsun sect, even if we have to sacrifice our lives. The 3 elders said with a sincere expression. Elders, please rise. From now on, as long as you are loyal to the sect, what is a mere Grandmaster realm to you? Even the Celestial realm and the Noble realm are not impossible. Look for me at the Jin's pavilion later. I will teach the 3 of you the tripartite spirit sealing sword formation. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Tripartite spirit sealing sword formation. Elder Wang Feng exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Holy Sun, are you talking about the lost tripartite spirit sealing sword formation of our Changsun sect hundreds of years ago? It is said that when combined with the tripartite spirit sealing sword formation, the 3 of us can unleash 9 times the strength. It is extremely powerful. Li Yu and Meng Lei were also excited. The 3 of them cultivated sword techniques. Naturally, they were clear about the sword techniques and martial arts of the Changsun sect. Chapter 93. That's right, it's the tripartite spirit sealing sword array. I don't care if the 3 of you are mentally connected. If you can master it, you will be able to unleash powerful combat strength. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Thank you, Saint. Thank you. The 3 elders were overjoyed and thanked Ling Xiao profusely. The other elders and true disciples were envious. That was an upper-grade earth-level martial art. They did not expect the saint to pass it on without batting an eyelid. The highest martial art that the elders could cultivate was a peerless black-level martial art. The only lower-grade earth-level martial art was the 7 stars transforming moon sword art. Not everyone was qualified to cultivate it. Now that Ling Xiao had taken out such a powerful martial art without batting an eyelid, everyone looked at Ling Xiao with fervent eyes. Nangong Xian smiled and struck while the iron was hot. Tomorrow, in the forbidden area of the back mountain, the saint will hold a lecture and impart martial arts to longevity. Every disciple will be able to attend. As long as everyone is of one mind and is loyal to the sect, the saint will not mistreat anyone. Impart martial arts to longevity. Instantly, all the disciples' eyes lit up. Everyone secretly decided that they would come early the next day, hoping that the saint would take a liking to them and impart a powerful martial art to them. Ling Xiao had his own considerations for choosing the forbidden area of the back mountain. If the forbidden area of the back mountain was sealed, it was more likely that the path understanding tree's secret would be discovered. Ling Xiao chose to impart martial arts in the forbidden area of the back mountain for two reasons. First, he could make use of the path understanding tree's magical effects to achieve the best results. Second, he could announce to the outside world that the changes in the forbidden area were due to the massive array he had set up there. This way, the path understanding tree's secret would be concealed as much as possible. After the crowd dispersed, Ling Xiao returned to the Jin's pavilion. The three elders naturally followed him respectfully. After Ling Xiao imparted the tripartite spirit sealing sword art and the sword array to them, they left with endless gratitude. The next day, the sky had just brightened. The morning sun emitted rays of golden light, illuminating the sea of clouds on the Longevity Mountain. It was dazzling. In the forbidden grounds of the back mountains, the path understanding tree had long been concealed by a formation set up by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged on a high platform beside the path understanding tree. Countless disciples poured into the forbidden area. Even Deng Tianda, Wang Feng, Li Yu, Meng Lei, and the other elders did not miss this opportunity. The scene in the back mountain forbidden area left everyone dumbfounded. Even though they had heard that the saint had set up a huge spirit gathering array, they still couldn't believe their eyes when they really arrived at the valley. The valley in front of them was filled with dazzling spiritual herbs, blooming flowers, flowing streams, and rising mists. A powerful aura of life spread out, making everyone feel refreshed, as if they had entered a paradise. Was this still the same barren wasteland? While everyone was lamenting, their admiration for Ling Xiao grew. When the morning sun rose, golden rays of light scattered over the entire valley. When it landed on Ling Xiao's body, it made him look like a young divine king, emitting a mysterious and majestic aura. Only then did the noisy valley quiet down. The valley was filled with people. Other than the disciples who had to guard the mountain, almost all the other disciples and elders had come to the forbidden grounds. Imparting martial arts to longevity had officially begun. The longevity sect's legacy has a long history. The earliest can be traced back to the Longevity Emperor a million years ago. The Longevity Emperor was one of the first gods to ascend to the divine realm from the war god continent. Our longevity sect's martial arts are extensive and profound, reaching the peak 10,000 years ago, Ling Xiao spoke with assurance. Although his voice wasn't loud, it was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. Next, I will talk about the 9 fundamental martial arts of our longevity sect. Longevity fist technique, longevity sword technique, longevity footwork technique, longevity saber technique, longevity hidden weapon technique, longevity chi refinement technique, minor 5 elements fist, elephant swallowing technique, minor sky thunder palm. Ling Xiao did not talk about any profound martial arts. Instead, he started from the 9 fundamental martial arts of the longevity sect. These 9 fundamental martial arts could be said to be the first martial arts that the longevity sect's disciples came into contact with. Everyone had more or less cultivated a few of them. They were the foundation of the longevity sect's martial arts. However, their grades were not high. They were only yellow-level martial arts. Yellow-level martial arts could be said to be the lowest grade of martial arts. In the entire war god continent, as long as one had a little bit of cultivation, they could create a yellow-level martial arts. Only when it reached the black-level martial arts could it be considered a true martial arts secret manual. When they heard Ling Xiao talk about the 9 fundamental martial arts, many disciples' eyes were filled with disappointment. Naturally, they wanted to hear about those martial arts secret manuals from Ling Xiao's mouth. They did not want to hear about those common yellow-level martial arts. Ling Xiao seemed to have seen through everyone's thoughts. He smiled faintly and said, "Does anyone know the origin of our longevity sect's 9 fundamental martial arts?" Everyone was slightly stunned. They were all confused. Their martial Tao started from these basic martial arts, but as for the origins of these 9 great basic martial arts, none of them were clear about it. Even Nangong Xian and the Great Elder looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They shook their heads. 10,000 years ago, the devouring sky supreme patriarch was the most powerful person in the world. He defeated all his enemies and was the most powerful person in the world. He had countless glorious achievements. I believe all of you are very clear about that. However, what you do not know is that these 9 fundamental martial arts were all created by the devouring sky supreme patriarch. Ling Xiao sighed softly. His eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life. What? The 9 fundamental martial arts were created by the devouring sky supreme patriarch? That's not possible. How could the devouring sky supreme patriarch create yellow-level martial arts? The martial arts that the devouring sky supreme patriarch left behind should be at least heaven-level martial arts. These 9 fundamental martial arts are too simple. They can't be created by the devouring sky supreme patriarch. Instantly, the crowd was in an uproar. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. Some of the disciples who idolized the devouring sky supreme patriarch looked at Ling Xiao indignantly. It was as though Ling Xiao had insulted their idol. Since you said that the 9 fundamental martial arts are simple, I would like to ask, who here dares to say that they have cultivated the concept of the 9 fundamental martial arts? Once Ling Xiao's words fell, everyone was stunned. Even Nangong Xian, Nangong Qing, and the rest shook their heads bitterly. Before Ling Xiao's rebirth, Nangong Qing was the #1 genius in the Changsun sect. However, she had only cultivated the Changsun sword skill to the greater mastery realm. It was difficult for her to even reach the complete realm, let alone cultivate the sword intent. Jian Wuk, Deng Yalan, and the rest also smiled bitterly. Although the 9 fundamental martial arts were the beginning of martial arts, they had all chosen to cultivate stronger martial arts after their cultivation had broken through to the corresponding realm. Why would they be willing to waste their energy on the fundamental martial arts? Chapter 94. When Ling Xiao was teaching Deng Yalan a lesson, he had used the longevity fist intent and longevity sword intent. Could it be that the saint's prowess was related to the 9 fundamental martial arts? You all thought that the 9 fundamental martial arts were the same as the common yellow-level martial arts. So, after breaking through, you all eagerly chose the stronger martial arts. But you all don't know that the most precious martial arts in the Changsun sect are the 9 fundamental martial arts. You all are guarding a mountain of treasures without knowing it. In my eyes, even a heaven-level martial arts can't compare to the 9 fundamental martial arts, let alone the 7 stars transforming moon sword. Ling Xiao shook his head and said slowly, the 9 fundamental martial arts were left behind by the sky-devouring patriarch. Although they are only yellow-level martial arts, they contain the foundation of all martial arts in the Changsun sect. Take the longevity sword technique for example. If you can cultivate the longevity sword intent, you will be able to comprehend everything with a single sword. Then, you will be able to cultivate any other sword technique in the Changsun sect with twice the result with half the effort. The power of the longevity sword technique will be comparable to an earth-level martial arts. As Ling Xiao spoke, he jumped down from the high platform with a long sword in his hand. The sword light was dazzling as it danced slowly. At times, it was ethereal and at other times, it was heavy and powerful. It carried the power of heaven and earth with it and had the power of wind and thunder. The unparalleled sharpness swept out and the elders could faintly feel a chilling sword aura coming towards them. Intent is the power of the Grandmaster realm. It contains the power of heaven and earth. Even if it is a yellow-level martial arts, if you can comprehend the intent, you will have the power of a Grandmaster. The 9 fundamental martial arts are the key to allowing you to comprehend the intent. As long as you cultivate it to the extreme, you will be able to explode with shocking combat power. The sword in Ling Xiao's hand became faster and faster. In the end, the sky was filled with afterimages. The sword aura was unparalleled and there was a faint feeling of dominating the world. If you can comprehend the intent of the longevity footwork, with the power of heaven and earth, you will have the speed of a Grandmaster. Even a Dragon Tiger Realm elite won't be able to catch up with you. You will be untraceable and untraceable. Ling Xiao withdrew his long sword, and the sword shadows that filled the sky disappeared. His entire person flew into the distance, as if he had turned into a bolt of golden lightning, extremely fast. In the eyes of the crowd, Ling Xiao was clearly only using the power of the true Qi realm, but it was as if he had broken through the void and was moving freely. The longevity Qi refining technique is the source of longevity true Qi. It can grow and multiply endlessly, transforming the power of heaven and earth for one's own use. The elephant-devouring art was created by the heaven-devouring patriarch by observing the ancient statues of gods. It devours the essence of food to replenish one's vitality. When cultivated to the peak, one can possess the strength of 10 dragons and 10 elephants, capable of splitting mountains and reversing rivers. It's extremely powerful. Lesser 5 Elements Fist. Under Ling Xiao's narration, the mysteries of the 9 fundamental martial techniques were slowly revealed in front of everyone. Those disciples who originally had doubts in their hearts were now in awe of Ling Xiao. They focused their attention on Ling Xiao's demonstration of the 9 fundamental martial arts. Only then did they realize that the 9 fundamental martial techniques actually contain such a mysterious power, causing them to be engrossed in it. Starting from the 9 fundamental martial techniques, Ling Xiao slowly explained the foundation of the entire Changsun sect's martial arts and the principles of martial arts. From the yellow level to the black level, the earth level, and even the heaven level, the entire back mountain was filled with Ling Xiao's voice. Everyone was focused, and their mental strength was concentrated. Slowly, they fell into a mysterious state. The path understanding tree emitted the light of wisdom, and a sea of life essence spread out in all directions, turning into a resplendent rain of light that sprinkled down. It was extremely beautiful. At the beginning, many people could still understand Ling Xiao's preaching. However, slowly, those disciples with lower cultivation levels could not understand. Only the core disciples and elders were still persevering. Ling Xiao himself seemed to have fallen into a strange state. The mental strength of thousands of Changsun sect disciples converged, turning into a torrent. Under the guidance of the path understanding tree, it turned into the purest form of energy, which was then absorbed by Ling Xiao. Like the worship of incense, Ling Xiao felt that his thoughts were clear, and his mental strength was getting stronger. He actually broke through the barrier of an alchemy master in an instant. Boom! It was as though heaven and earth were different. The path understanding tree was like a dome that covered the sky. As Ling Xiao explained the principles of martial arts, it seemed to form a strange resonance with the path understanding tree. Strands of resplendent light spread out, turning into mysterious flowers that floated down. This mysterious phenomenon appeared in the entire valley, making Ling Xiao look like a deity that was preaching the Tao. He was extraordinary. Heavenly flowers. Ling Xiao did not expect that when he was teaching the Changsun sect's disciples, there would be such a phenomenon. Ling Xiao's preaching lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. During this period, the first to give up were the large number of outer and inner sect disciples. They only lasted for a few hours. As for the core disciples, they could only last for a day, which was also their limit. The elders of the Dragon-Tiger realm persevered for 2 days before they felt as though they were being rejected by the energy of heaven and earth. Their ears were buzzing, and they could no longer hear Ling Xiao's words. Only Nangong Xian, Nangong Qing, Jian Wuk, and a few others persevered for 3 days. This included Zhuo Zhen, Shui Wei, Lu Piapiao, Deng Yalan, and 2 outer sect disciples who were only at the channel opening realm. They were 2 youths with red lips and white teeth. They looked extremely cute and seemed to be a pair of twin brothers. Although their aptitudes were ordinary, they had extremely high comprehension abilities. Their eyes were clear and contained the light of wisdom. Their gains were also the greatest. After persevering for 3 days, their cultivation had actually broken through from the 7th level of the channel opening realm to the 1st level of the true energy realm. Ling Xiao secretly noted them down. These 2 disciples could be nurtured heavily. When Nangong Xian and the rest could no longer persevere, Ling Xiao slowly stopped. Boom! Boom! Waves of powerful auras spread out. Among the many disciples, there were people who constantly broke through their realms and cultivations. Their eyes were filled with incomparable ecstasy. This time, Ling Zhao's preaching of martial arts to immortality seemed to have opened a door for them. It allowed them to see a different scenery of the martial Tao and a different world. Some of the disciples' martial Tao hearts were even more resolute, and their minds seemed to have been cleansed. Especially the 9 fundamental martial arts. Under Ling Zhao's demonstration, they had a kind of magical power that could turn something rotten into something magical. The saint is too powerful. Now I'm starting to believe that the reason why the saint is so strong is because he has cultivated the 9 fundamental martial arts to perfection. The saint must be a god that has descended to guide our Changsun sect to rise again. When I go back, I will cultivate the 9 fundamental martial arts. If I don't cultivate them to perfection, I won't come out of seclusion. That's right. I feel that the saint's teachings in these 3 days have surpassed my 3 years of cultivation. I have decided. From now on, I will be a die-hard fan of the saint. I will establish a saint's party to support the saint. Saint's party. That's right, count me in. I also want to join the saint's party. Chapter 95. Ling Zhao's imparting of martial arts to Changsheng had pushed the entire Changsheng sect to its peak. In the process, Ling Zhao had discovered many talented disciples and brought them under the tutelage of the various elders, imparting them powerful martial arts. As for the twin brothers, they were called Han Guang and Han Liang. They were personally taken in by Nangong Xian and taught with great care. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Everyone had a feeling that they hadn't had enough. The Changsheng sect was full of vitality and Ling Zhao was preparing to head to the capital. Since he had taken over Ling Zhao's body in this life, he naturally had to take over his identity and karma. There were some things that had to be resolved. Holy Son, we caught a sneaky person. He said he's from the royal city's Ling family. Do you know him? If you don't, I'll kill him directly. Ling Zhao had just returned to the Jin's pavilion when Deng Yalan brought a group of people over with a young man in a black robe. Ling family? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he saw the young man in a black robe. His hands were tied up and he looked very ordinary. His eyes were filled with fear. Judging from his aura, he was only in the true energy realm. Greetings, little prince. I'll tell you everything. Little prince, please don't kill me. When the young man in a black robe saw Ling Zhao, he immediately knelt down and kowtowed to beg for mercy. Oh. You know me. Who are you? Ling Zhao said indifferently. Little prince, I'm just an ordinary family guard in the demon mansion. The great elder wanted us to investigate your situation. That's why I'm here in the Changsheng sect. However, I was forced by the great elder. I'm loyal to the prince and will never do anything to betray the prince. The young man in a black robe swore to the heavens. Us? How many people do you have? What did you find out? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he heard the key point in the young man's words. The great elder sent many people. We basically know about your situation. You've become the saint of the Changsheng sect and your cultivation has increased by leaps and bounds. You've also activated the Changsheng sect's protective array and destroyed the He Huan sect and the demonic palace. You're now the most talented disciple in the Changsheng sect. The black-robed young man seemed to be very honest, and he slowly told them everything he knew. The gazes of Deng Yalan and the others became somewhat unsightly. They also understood the strange relationship between Ling Zhao and the Demon King Manor. That great elder clearly had ulterior motives and wanted to deal with Ling Zhao. They only knew that the little prince had become the holy son of the longevity sect and returned to the capital. I was the last one, and I just so happened to see the holy son display his invincible might and annihilate the Acacia faction and demonic palace. I originally planned to return to the capital city, but I never imagined that I would be captured here. The black-robed young man had a long face as he spoke in full detail. Saint, kill him. A glint of killing intent flashed across Deng Yalan's eyes. Ling Xiao had mobilized the Grand Longevity God Seal Array to kill off the experts from the All-Pleasure Sect and Heavenly Demon Palace. That was especially true of the Myriad Beasts sect's Kun Shi. Nangong Xian had already given the order to keep it a secret. If this spy were to find out about it and spread it out, Ling Xiao and the Longevity sect would truly be in danger. Even though the Longevity sect had begun to display their potential, they still had no chance against a colossus like the Myriad Beasts sect. Little prince, please don't kill me, please don't kill me. I'll tell you a secret. It's about the Great Elder's plot against you. The black-robed young man's eyes revealed a trace of fear as he hurriedly begged for mercy. Oh. What plot? Ling Xiao looked at the black-robed young man and felt that there was something strange about him. Little prince, come closer. I can only tell you this matter, and no one else can know about it. Otherwise, there will be great trouble. The black-robed young man clenched his teeth and insisted. Ling Xiao took a few steps towards the black-robed young man and looked at him with a burning gaze. Speak. A murderous glint flashed across the black-robed young man's eyes as he said respectfully, Little prince, this plot is. I'm here to kill you. Boom. A violent aura exploded from the black-robed young man's body as the terrifying aura of the Dragon Tiger realm was released. It was mysterious and terrifying, and the ropes around his body were instantly torn apart. Then, a black poisonous arrow shot out from his mouth as fast as lightning. Ling Xiao and the black-robed young man were less than 10 feet apart. At such a short distance, even a Grandmaster expert would find it difficult to dodge such a sudden attack. The black poisonous arrow emitted a cold green light as it was dipped in a deadly poison. The black-robed young man's eyes flashed coldly, and he was no longer as submissive as before. He had spent so much effort pretending to be pitiful just to wait for this moment, the moment when he would kill Ling Xiao. However, he did not see that Ling Xiao's expression was incomparably calm, and there was a trace of mockery in his eyes. Saint, be careful. Deng Yalin and the others were scared silly. Who would have thought that the black-robed young man would suddenly attack? It was as if a little lamb had shed its disguise and turned into a hungry wolf. Deng Yalin only shouted, and the poisonous arrow was already in front of Ling Xiao. It had to be said that the speed of the poisonous arrow was extremely fast, and it contained an unparalleled penetrative power. Even a Dragon Tiger realm expert could be killed in one hit. However, it was a pity that his opponent was Ling Xiao. Crack! Ling Xiao's body was pierced by the poisonous arrow, but before the black-robed young man could see clearly, Ling Xiao's figure disappeared into the void. It was only Ling Xiao's afterimage that was pierced. The moment the black-robed young man revealed his killing intent, Ling Xiao had already used the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique and teleported away. The black-robed young man's eyes revealed a trace of shock, but in the next moment, a trace of determination flashed across his eyes. You want to die? In front of me, without my permission, you can't die even if you want to. Ling Xiao's ghostly voice rang out behind the black-robed young man. His hand was as fast as lightning, and in an instant, he pinched the black-robed young man's mouth and punched out. Crack! The black-robed young man's mouth full of teeth flew out, and along with it, there was a tooth that contained deadly poison. It turned out that the black-robed young man was prepared to commit suicide after his attack failed. With such decisiveness and ruthlessness, the black-robed young man was the death warrior of the death warriors. He was ruthless to others, but even more ruthless to himself. However, it was a pity that Ling Xiao was prepared. The black-robed young man spat out blood, and his limbs were dismembered by Ling Xiao, and he was violently smashed onto the ground. The intense pain caused the veins on the black-robed young man's forehead to bulge. His face was pale, but he still clenched his teeth and did not let out a scream. How dare you sneak attack the saint? You must be tired of living. Deng Yalin finally reacted, and his face revealed a look of anger. He led a group of Changsheng sect's disciples and started punching and kicking the black-robed young man. Chapter 96. Stop. Tell me, who are you? Why do you want to kill me? Tell me and I'll give you a quick death. Ling Xiao gestured for Deng Yalan and the rest to stop as he stared coldly at the black-robed youth. Although Ling Xiao had escaped this calamity, his heart was still filled with anger. A strong murderous intent towards the Ling family's great elder, Ling Yunxiang. Ever since Ling Kuan, Ling Yunxiang had tried to kill Ling Xiao time and time again. It was as if he was being targeted by a poisonous snake hidden in the dark. This made Ling Xiao furious. You won't know. Ha ha ha. You won't be able to get any information from me. The black-robed youth spat out blood. His eyes were filled with arrogance as he laughed loudly. He clearly had the will to die. Such a death warrior's heart was firm and he had long disregarded life and death. You really refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Are you so sure that you won't say anything? Ling Xiao sneered and slapped the black-robed youth's head. Boom! This slap was powerful, as if it wanted to smash the black-robed youth's head into pieces. However, when it landed, it was extremely gentle. An extremely powerful mental power invaded the black-robed youth's sea of consciousness without restraint. With the mental power of a low-grade soaring cloud alchemist, it was easy for him to perform the soul-searching technique. It was not something a death warrior could resist. Who are you? Who sent you? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. The black-robed young man's eyes became dull in an instant, and he replied honestly, Great Elder sent me here and gave me the 10,000 poison arrow to kill you. Ling Xiao understood after hearing the black-robed youth's explanation. It turned out that the Great Elder Ling Yunxiang had always been worried about Ling Xiao. Ling Yunxiang had sent spies around the longevity sect. However, a few years ago, Ling Xiao was too useless and his martial cultivation was too weak. Thus, Ling Yunxiang did not pay too much attention to him. However, ever since Ling Xiao's body was taken over by the sky-devouring supreme, he had taught Ling Kuan and Chen Feng a lesson, defeated Deng Yalan, used the purple heavenly lightning to suppress Deng Tianda, passed the 9th level of the longevity tower and became the holy son of the longevity sect. This series of events attracted Ling Yunxiang's attention and alertness. He became somewhat restless and wished he could immediately kill Ling Xiao. This black-robed young man was called Poison Spirit. He was a silver-plate assassin from the assassin organization, Inferno. He was hired by Ling Yunxiang to deal with Ling Xiao. Even the poisonous arrow he shot out was called Million Poison Arrow. It was a one-time secret treasure comparable to a supreme-grade spiritual weapon. Ling Yunxiang had also paid a huge price to get it. What Ling Yunxiang wanted was Ling Xiao's death. He absolutely could not allow Ling Xiao to return to the capital alive. By the time Ling Xiao got the information he wanted, Poison Spirit's mind was already in a mess. He became an idiot and was thrown aside by Ling Xiao. Ling Yunxiang. I didn't look for you, but you came to deal with me. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of cold light, giving birth to a strong killing intent towards Ling Yunxiang. Ling Xiao frowned slightly when he heard about the assassin organization Netherworld from the Poison Fiend. This Netherworld organization was very mysterious. They had bronze-plate assassins, silver-plate assassins, gold-plate assassins, and heaven-rank assassins. It was said that gold-plate assassins were at least at the level of a grandmaster while heaven-rank assassins were at least at the level of a heavenly being. The number of grandmasters and heavenly beings who had died at the hands of Netherworld was innumerable. In order to hire Netherworld's help, one must pay a huge price. It was not that Ling Yunxiang did not want to hire a gold-plate assassin. It was just that the price was too high. Even Ling Yunxiang could not afford it. Furthermore, for every assassination mission from Netherworld, if they failed the first time, there would be a second time until the mission was completely completed. Therefore, those who had been targeted by Netherworld were almost guaranteed to die. However, there was an exception in the underworld. As long as one could avoid 9 assassination attempts by the underworld, one would be completely removed from the underworld's assassination list. Furthermore, one would never be assassinated by the underworld again. This was considered a compromise by Netherworld. After all, those who could avoid 9 assassination attempts from Netherworld were not to be trifled with. They might become earth-shattering figures in the future. If they could not assassinate such a person, it was better to befriend them as soon as possible. In other words, this was only the first assassination attempt from Netherworld. There were still 8 more. The reason why Ling Xiao felt that it was troublesome was that although he was not afraid of Netherworld's assassination attempts, if he brought Xue Wei and Lu Piapiao back to the capital, he would not be able to take care of them. Their lives might be in danger. From the looks of it, he could not bring Xue Wei and Lu Piapiao back to the capital. After Ling Xiao thought it through, he waved his hand, indicating for Deng Yalan to take care of the poison spirit. The news of Ling Xiao's assassination quickly reached Nangong Xian. Nangong Xian, the Great Elder, Jian Wuk, Nangong Qing and the rest quickly arrived at Jin's pavilion. Ling Xiao, are you alright? Ling Yunxiang has gone too far. Nangong Xian and the rest asked with concern. Their eyes were filled with anger. No matter what, Ling Xiao was the son of Demon King Jinyao. He was also Ling Yunxiang's grandson. However, Ling Yunxiang had tried to kill him time and time again. This made them extremely angry. Saint, stay in Changxing sect. Don't return to the capital. Let's see if that old thing Ling Yunxiang still dares to send people to kill you. If 1 comes, I'll kill 1. If 2 comes, I'll kill 2. The Great Elder was the most agitated. He was so angry that he flew into a rage. That's right. Saint, the underworld organization is not simple. Although it is hidden in the dark, its strength is incomparably huge. I'm afraid it's not much weaker than those martial Dao Holy Lands. It's too dangerous for you to return to the capital. Why don't you stay in Changxing sect? Deng Tianda also tried to persuade him. Now, he no longer had any jealousy or resentment towards Ling Xiao. He had completely become Ling Xiao's most loyal supporter. If you insist on returning to the capital, I'll go with you. Nangong Qing said slowly. Her eyes revealed a trace of determination. Seeing everyone's concerned expressions, Ling Xiao's heart warmed. He smiled and said, everyone, don't worry. It's not like you don't know my strength. If that old thing Ling Yunxiang dares to send people again, he's just courting death. I have to return to the capital. There are many things that I need to settle. A mere underworld can't stop me. Ling Xiao's voice was very determined. After hearing his words, everyone sighed slightly. They knew that once Ling Xiao made a decision, it would be difficult to change it. Moreover, when they thought of Ling Xiao's abnormal combat strength, they were also slightly relieved. They were afraid that even ordinary martial Dao masters might not be his match. I know what you're worried about. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Cultivate well. I hope that when I return, not only have you broken through to the Dragon Tiger realm, but you've also comprehended sword intent. Ling Xiao said with a smile when he saw Nangong Qing hesitating. Nangong Qing originally wanted to refute, but when she saw Ling Xiao's determined and clear eyes, she didn't know why her heart softened. She nodded obediently. Xue Wei and Lu Piapiao were also determined to return to the capital with Ling Xiao. However, they were both suppressed by Ling Xiao. Following that, Ling Xiao spent a day giving pointers to everyone's cultivation. Although Nangong Xian and Nangong Qing had started to cultivate the Longevity Supreme Scripture, it wasn't that easy to comprehend a martial Dao master. Ling Xiao's lecture enlightened them. Ling Xiao taught the First Elder a secret technique to raise his mental strength. The First Elder was incomparably excited and almost knelt down to acknowledge Ling Xiao as his master. In the end, he was stopped by Ling Xiao. What a joke! Ling Xiao had already taken in Jiao Mu. He hadn't even taken in a single true disciple. If he took in a few old men, how could he agree? On the other hand, Jian Wuk was born with a sword body. His heart was incomparably firm. Ling Xiao didn't teach him any powerful martial arts. He only taught him his insights on sword intent. Deng Yalan also learned the Vajra-subduing demon fist that he had been yearning for. He shouted excitedly, full of vigor. Everything in the longevity sect was developing in a good direction. However, Ling Xiao had to leave. Chapter 97. Ling Xiao left the Changsun sect alone. He did not choose the official road but went straight into the fearsome Beast Mountain Range. The fearsome Beast Mountain Range stretched for tens of thousands of miles. As long as he crossed the fearsome Beast Mountain Range, he would be able to reach the capital. Ling Xiao was dressed in black. He had a slender figure and a jade-like face. His black hair fluttered in the wind. As he walked forward, he looked at the vast sky and the giant peaks piercing through the clouds. There was a sense of heroism surging in his chest. 10,000 years ago, the land within 10,000 miles of the Changsun Mountain was the blessed land of the Changsun sect. It was filled with spiritual energy, towering ancient trees, and rare birds and beasts could be seen everywhere. However, 10,000 years later, the world has changed. The original pure land of the Changsun Mountain has become a barren land. Ling Xiao sighed and strolled into the depths of the fearsome Beast Mountain Range. When he used the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique, he looked very confident and at ease. With a single step, he covered a distance of over 100 feet. His black straw shoes landed on the leaves without making any sound. The fearsome Beast Mountain Range was full of peaks that pierced through the clouds like sharp swords. The mountain range was filled with towering ancient trees and miasma. There were countless powerful beasts looming. It was full of danger and opportunities. Many experts liked to come to the fearsome Beast Mountain Range to gain experience. Not only could they kill beasts and hone their martial skills, but it was also said that there were many cave ruins left behind by experts in the fearsome Beast Mountain Range. If they could find the inheritance of those experts, they would have a meteoric rise. Giant ancient trees stretched open the dome and covered the blue sky. Old vines wrapped around the stone walls and produced countless exotic flowers and fruits. Leaves fell on the ground, forming a thick layer that was uninhabited. In the distant peaks, there was a powerful demonic aura and roars that shook the sky. It was a clear indication of the dangers in the fearsome Beast Mountain Range. It was like a barren land from the ancient mythological era. Ling Xiao walked all the way. Most of the monsters in the periphery of the fearsome Beast Mountain Range were first, second, and third level monsters. They were not strong, but when Ling Xiao released his aura, they would be scared and flee in all directions. Occasionally, there would be some ignorant demonic beasts that rushed over, but they were all killed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao cultivated the secret technique of the ancestral dragon and condensed the body of a flood dragon. His body naturally emitted a faint dragon's aura, which made many monsters fear him. However, when Ling Xiao was 500 miles deep into the fearsome Beast Mountain Range, the number of demonic beasts above the third rank began to increase. A rank 4 demonic beast was comparable to a dragon tiger realm elite. Its body was full of vitality, and its demonic aura was extremely dense. Its roar shook the sky. If it appeared in the forest, countless low-level demonic beasts would be scared and flee in all directions. On the other hand, fifth-order demonic beasts were much rarer. Most of them were holed up in their lairs, absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. They had already begun to develop a trace of spiritual intelligence and knew how to cultivate. Their strength was also incomparably powerful. Ling Xiao's mental strength was extremely strong, so even from a distance, he could acutely sense the aura emitted by the demonic beasts. What Ling Xiao didn't expect was that there were so many powerful demon beasts in this ferocious Beast Mountain Range. Some of them were so powerful that they could swallow the sun and the moon. Even from a distance, Ling Xiao felt a burst of fear. He once saw a giant silver wolf in a valley. It was dozens of feet tall and exuded an extremely cold aura. It stood on a cliff and absorbed the essence of the sun and the moon. He had also seen a giant golden ape that was hundreds of meters tall, holding a giant iron cudgel. Blood chi surged from its body as it fought with a black bear that was hundreds of meters tall. That monstrous baleful aura caused people to tremble from dozens of kilometers away. A few small hills were shattered by them. Countless towering ancient trees turned into ashes in the sea of fire. He also saw a giant green eagle with wings that were like clouds in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Its eyes were cold, and its green feathers emitted a metallic luster. It was extremely fast. It grabbed a giant snake that was hundreds of feet long into the sky and tore it into several pieces. Blood rained down. Moon howling wolf. Chaos demon ape. Earth giant bear. Green sky eagle. Ling Xiao recognized the origin of these giant beasts. They were all ancient species, and their aura had all reached the peak of rank 6 demonic beast, comparable to an elite at the peak of celestial realm. They were only a hair away from breaking through to rank 7 demonic beast, which was the legendary demon king realm. Once a demonic beast broke through to rank 7, it would experience the transformation thunder tribulation. It could be reborn and transform into a human form. It was incomparably powerful. These 4 ancient mutated beasts were not something that Ling Xiao could match up to at the moment. Ling Xiao's sky-devouring secret skill was so mysterious that it completely concealed his aura. It did not alarm these ancient beasts at all and bypassed them. Strange. Why are there so many powerful demonic beasts in this fearsome beast mountain range? Ling Xiao's eyes showed a trace of seriousness. He felt that the fearsome beast mountain range seemed to be shrouded in a layer of strange aura. Logically speaking, the intelligence of an ordinary rank 6 demonic beast was almost the same as an adult. However, Ling Xiao saw that these rank 6 demonic beasts had blood-red eyes and a murderous aura. It was as if only the instinct to kill was left. This fearsome beast mountain range was really strange. But in this fearsome beast mountain range, it's just right to hone my martial arts. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered, revealing a strong fighting spirit. Although Ling Xiao had the sovereign realm, now that he was reborn, every step he took was extremely solid, including the comprehension of martial arts. Ling Xiao strived to reach the perfect realm. Now, the 3 major martial arts that he cultivated, the Vajra demon subduing fist, the cloud dragon's 9 changes, and the infinite light and darkness sword, had all reached the profound realm. Ling Xiao was ready to cultivate them to the perfect realm in the fearsome beast mountain range. It's a pity that I'm only at the first level of the sky-devouring secret skill, and the sky-devouring spiritual seed has not reached the perfect realm. Otherwise, I can cultivate the 7 limits divine skill of devouring heaven and destroying earth. At that time, I'll have the strongest killing move. Ling Xiao thought to himself. After all, the martial arts that he cultivated were not created by himself. They could not erupt with the strongest power. As the sky-devouring sovereign in his previous life, Ling Xiao used the sky-devouring secret skill as the foundation to create the 7 limits divine skill of devouring heaven and destroying earth. It was incomparably powerful. The 7 limits divine skill of devouring heaven and destroying earth had already surpassed the martial arts of the sovereign realm. It was infinitely close to the legendary divine level martial arts. It was also the absolute power that allowed Ling Xiao to suppress the sovereigns in the world and become the most powerful person in the world. The strongest people in the world were all stunning geniuses. They would not adhere to the martial arts of their predecessors. They would create their own martial arts path, which was the most compatible with their own power. However, the minimum requirement to cultivate the 7 limits divine skill of devouring heaven and destroying earth was to condense the perfect sky-devouring spiritual seed. Ling Xiao had now collected the wood, water, fire, and earth spiritual seeds. He only lacked the metal spiritual seed to cultivate the sky-devouring spiritual seed to the perfect realm. Chapter 98. In the following period of time, Ling Xiao began to set off a bloody storm in the fierce beast mountain range. Ling Xiao wasn't a match for demonic beasts above the 6th level, so he avoided them all. As for demonic beasts below the 5th level, they all became Ling Xiao's prey and died in his hands. The 3 major martial arts were also rapidly improving. Just like this, half a month passed. Ling Xiao had already gone a few thousand miles into the fierce beast mountain range and killed countless demonic beasts. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation was still at the 7th level of the spirit transformation realm, there was an additional aura of iron and blood on his body. His aura became more condensed and he had a better understanding of this realm. Between two steep mountain peaks, there was a hidden valley. Ling Xiao chased a golden lion into the valley. This golden lion had a powerful aura. It was more than 10 feet tall and its fur shone brightly as if it was cast in gold. Its limbs were strong and powerful and its entire body exuded a powerful aura. This was an early 6th order golden lion. Ling Xiao had discovered it by accident. When he encountered this golden lion, it was already injured and covered in blood. Its eyes were bloodthirsty and filled with rage. However, this golden lion was an ancient species and its blood essence was of great use to Ling Xiao. Therefore, when the two met, a fierce battle broke out. The golden lion originally thought that Ling Xiao was a small ant, but it didn't expect to kick an iron plate. After a few rounds, not only was Ling Xiao not injured, but its own injuries were even more serious. This golden lion also knew how to deal with Ling Xiao. It didn't fight to the death and instead turned around to escape. Ling Xiao chased after it and came to a secluded valley. "Obediently let me have some of your blood and I won't kill you." Ling Xiao followed behind, the corners of his mouth curling up as he spoke lazily. Roar! The golden lion seemed to have understood Ling Xiao's words. It roared angrily at him and fled into the valley at top speed. The golden lion's speed was extremely fast. It was like a golden bolt of lightning. Even Ling Xiao, who was using the Cloud Dragon's 9 transformations to catch up, felt a little strenuous. "You really don't know what's good for you." Ling Xiao shook his head and suddenly exerted force on his feet. In an instant, he flew across the sky and a monstrous aura erupted from his body as he threw a punch at the golden lion. Boom! The golden lion was already severely injured. Now that it was hit by Ling Xiao's punch, it couldn't dodge in time and was sent flying hundreds of feet away. It crashed heavily into a tree in the distance, smashing the tree into pieces. Roar! The golden lion let out an angry roar and bared its fangs at Ling Xiao. Its golden fur stood on end. "Be obedient and let me bleed a little, then I'll let you go. How about that?" Ling Xiao smiled and walked towards the golden lion. However, just as Ling Xiao approached the golden lion, he suddenly felt a sense of danger and hurriedly retreated. Rumble! The golden lion in front of him emitted a dazzling golden light. Its body expanded violently, and with a boom, it exploded in the void, turning into a bloody mist. Whoosh! Whoosh! Several streaks of black light pierced through the blood mist and suddenly shot towards Ling Xiao. At the same time, the blood mist from the golden lion's explosion seemed to have triggered a chain reaction. The surroundings buzzed, and a swarm of fist-sized poisonous bees appeared in an instant. There were thousands of them, and they stuck their butts out at Ling Xiao at the same time. Whoosh! 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 Black poisonous needles fell towards Ling Xiao like raindrops. They were extremely fast, and there was no time for him to react. However, this wasn't the end. In this inescapable net of attacks, a black sword radiance came across the sky and silently appeared above Ling Xiao's head. It split into countless afterimages and pierced towards Ling Xiao's head, throat, and heart. It was extremely vicious. In an instant, Ling Xiao was caught in a life-or-death crisis. This is a trap. A thought appeared in Ling Xiao's mind. However, the more dangerous the situation was, the calmer he became. His eyes revealed a cold light. Ling Xiao moved almost as soon as the poisonous needles fell from the sky. Roar! A clear dragon roar sounded. Ling Xiao's body suddenly flashed, and a dazzling light exploded. He was like a blazing sun, and his blood was boiling. Countless afterimages appeared in the void. When those poisonous needles fell, they all pierced through Ling Xiao's afterimages. Clang! A streak of sword light flashed out. The vanquishing evil sword exploded with boundless light in an instant. It was like a Taiji arc that enveloped all the poisonous needles. It split into billions of sword light, slicing the surrounding poisonous wasps into pieces. Infinite sword of light. Where there was light, there would be a sword. The sword's speed was like light, and it erupted with a power that could change the color of heaven and earth. At the same time, that snake-like sword also followed behind Ling Xiao like a shadow. The sword radiance split and stabbed towards Ling Xiao's head, throat, and heart. Boom! The blood and qi around Ling Xiao's body erupted like an ocean. Golden blood energy exploded like lightning. The violent dragon divine ability was instantly activated. Ling Xiao's originally incomparably abnormal speed suddenly doubled. He dodged that fatal sword at an unbelievable angle. At the same time, the evil vanquishing sword became deep and mysterious. It was as if darkness covered the earth, and the sword swept out. Infinite sword of darkness. At this moment, Ling Xiao finally saw the person who had attacked him. It was a black-robed assassin. It was as if that strike had drawn out all of the assassin's life force, leaving him with no strength to dodge Ling Xiao's strike. Pfft! That black-robed assassin directly exploded into a bloody mist in the void. The long sword in his hand was also cut in half by the evil vanquishing sword. Good, very good. The underworld is really haunting me. One day, I will let you understand that offending me, Ling Xiao, is the biggest mistake you have made. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold as he swept a glance around and said coldly. Even Ling Xiao was almost fooled by such a meticulous trap. Ling Xiao instantly thought of the underworld. However, he did not expect that the second wave of assassinations from the underworld would come so quickly. On his neck, a trace of blood flashed, and it was an abnormal black color. A numbing and painful feeling came over him. Although Ling Xiao's reaction was already very fast, his skin was still grazed. Moreover, the black-robed assassin's long sword was dipped in poison, and it instantly invaded Ling Xiao's body. He has already been poisoned by the ghost life-reaping powder. Kill him. A cold voice drifted over from all directions. Swoosh! Swoosh! Chapter 99. The three men in black were all powerhouses in the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. Their swords were as fast as lightning, and their attacks were vicious and poisonous. They were all unscrupulous and fought with their lives on the line. Even if he was a grandmaster, facing such a siege, he would die without a doubt. Unfortunately, they were facing Ling Xiao. Trash from the underworld, are you finally willing to come out? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of a cold smile, and the evil vanquisher sword in his hand moved. Clang! The evil vanquisher sword emitted endless light, and runes spread out like the sun. The sword cut across the sky like the sun rising into the sky, and it carried a kind of brilliant heavenly power, causing the void to tremble violently. The infinite light sword technique, the superior grade artifact evil vanquisher sword, exploded with the power of heaven and earth comparable to that of a master. Oh no, it's a superior grade artifact. Retreat! One of the men in black shouted, and there was a trace of horror in his eyes. Although they were all assassins of the underworld, they were not idiots who would rush in knowing that they would die. Now that they saw that the situation was not right, they wanted to retreat. Moreover, they were secretly cursing in their hearts. Which bastard provided the information? Was this a genius youth in the spirit transformation realm? Who had seen a youth in the spirit transformation realm using a superior grade artifact and a peerless martial art comparable to that of a master? However, it was too late by the time they wanted to retreat. Pfft! The evil vanquisher sword shone brightly and crossed the sky. It was like a blazing stream of light, and it instantly pierced through the chest of one of the men in black. Blood sprayed into the sky. The man in black's heart was crushed by the sword qi, and he fell to the ground, dead. The other two men in black were scared out of their wits. They wanted nothing more than to use all their strength to escape into the distance. All of you, stay here. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed coldly, and clouds appeared around his body, leaving behind afterimages in the void. In an instant, he appeared behind the two men in black. Chi! The sword radiance gushed out with a bone-piercing coldness. A sense of impending doom shrouded their hearts. Seeing that they could not escape, the two black-clothed men were extremely decisive. They abruptly turned around and charged towards Ling Zhao. A black sword aura that resembled a venomous snake shot towards Ling Zhao's chest. The attack was ruthless and indomitable. Another black-clothed man came from the side of Ling Zhao and sprinkled a black poisonous powder from his palm. At the same time, he thrust out his sword with unfathomable depth. These two assassins from the underworld were completely prepared to perish together. Even if they had to die, they wanted to drag Ling Zhao down with them. You want to perish together? I'm afraid you don't have the qualifications. Ling Zhao sneered as the sword light suddenly changed. The originally peerlessly sharp sword chi suddenly turned and transformed into numerous circles that emitted a grand Tao insight that revolved at will and changed. Crack! The long sword in the hand of the black-clothed man in front of him was directly cut in half by Ling Zhao's evil extermination ancient sword. At the same time, the sword light flashed, accompanied by a spray of blood, and a very large head soared into the sky. And when the poisonous powder that the black-clothed man on the side scattered in his hand came into contact with those circles of sword intent, it was actually reflected back by an ingenious hidden force, instantly enveloping the black-clothed man. Sizzle! The poisonous powder was extremely domineering. The black-clothed man suddenly screamed miserably. White smoke emitted from his entire body, and his entire body began to corrode at a speed visible to the naked eye. In merely a moment, the black-clothed man turned into a pool of blood. It's actually corpse-dissolving powder. Ling Zhao's gaze changed slightly as he recognized the origin of this poisonous powder. Corpse-dissolving powder was refined from the body of a 1,000-year-old zombie and refined with hundreds of types of poisons. As long as a trace of it touched the skin or was inhaled into the body, the entire body would rot and eventually turn into a pool of blood. Ling Zhao did not expect that the assassins from the underworld would actually have such a sinister and vicious medicine in their hands. With Ling Zhao's current cultivation, if he came into contact with the corpse-dissolving powder, it would be very troublesome. Ling Zhao searched the bodies of the other two black-clothed men and indeed found 2 bags of corpse-dissolving powder that had not been used in time. Other than that, there were also some sinister hidden weapons. As for spiritual stones and medicinal pills, he did not find anything. Ling Zhao curled his lips. These assassins from the underworld were like enemies with tarsal bones. He did not know why, but they had followed him all the way to the ferocious Beast Mountain range, making it impossible for him to guard against them. Moreover, after killing them, there was no profit at all. Ling Zhao felt that he had simply made a losing trade. These 3 black-clothed men, including the black-clothed man who had first launched a sneak attack on Ling Zhao, were all in the Dragon Tiger realm. Each of them had a bright silver token on them. One side of the token was engraved with 2 large ancient seal characters, Underworld. On the other side, a horrifying scene of hell was depicted. Moreover, mental strength was attached to it, making it easy for people to be frightened by the scene. This second assassination actually sent out 4 silver-clothed assassins. However, Ling Zhao also had a trace of murderous intent towards the underworld. After his cultivation improved, he must uproot these rats that could not see the light of day. The one who is hiding in the dark, still not coming out. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and a trace of ridicule appeared at the corner of his mouth. However, the surrounding forest was silent, and there was not a trace of sound. Ling Zhao seemed to be talking to the air, and there was no response. Looks like you still haven't given up. Do you think I'm tricking you? Ling Zhao's figure flashed, and he swept towards the towering ancient tree on the far right. Oh no, he actually found me. On top of the towering ancient tree stood a skinny middle-aged man in a green robe. His aura was weak, and it was as if he had blended into the branches and leaves of the surrounding trees. It was very difficult to be discovered. However, at this moment, when he saw Ling Xiao coming in this direction, his expression changed, and he did not even think about it before jumping into the distance to escape. At the same time, a jade-green flute appeared in the green-clothed man's hand. It was verdant and glistening with spiritual light, and he played it. Woo-woo, the clear sound of the flute rang out in the forest. It was extremely penetrating, and it also emitted a strange wave. As the sound of the flute rang out, a rustling sound could be heard from the forest. Black spiders, green centipedes, huge scorpions that were more than 10 feet long, all kinds of poisonous flying insects, and densely packed poisonous snakes, all came out of the forest. It was as if they were all controlled by the flute, and they pounced towards Ling Xiao in a frenzy. Surrounded by these poisonous creatures, even a grandmaster would feel his scalp go numb. If he was not careful and was bitten, he would die immediately. The green-clothed man knew how powerful Ling Xiao was, so he hoped to use these poisonous creatures to block Ling Xiao, giving him time to escape. You can actually control poisonous creatures. That's a good move. It's a pity you met me. A strange look flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes. His mental strength was very strong, and he could acutely feel that the flute contained some kind of strange wave that could temporarily hypnotize these poisonous creatures, and control and guide their actions. This method of controlling poisonous creatures was very strange. Chapter 100. Roar. A clear dragon roar came out of Ling Xiao's mouth, shaking the mountains and forests. It was like a thunderclap, emitting a brilliant power. Ling Xiao's body emitted a golden light, and the flood dragon blood in his body boiled. A mysterious, ancient, and majestic aura was emitted, as if an ancient dragon had awakened from the chaos, erupting with a power that could shock the heavens and earth. The secret skill of the ancestral dragon, starting from the flood dragon's body, was a process of evolving from a human to a dragon. With the power of the dragon, the ancestral dragon's power was unparalleled. The ancestral dragon was known as the #1 divine beast in the heavens. It had fought the heavens, crushed the stars, and swallowed countless chaotic divine demons. It was so powerful that it dominated an era. Therefore, there was a kind of reverence for the dragon tribe in the bloodline of the thousands of races in the heavens. When Ling Xiao showed the vast power of the dragon, the overwhelming poisonous insects trembled and ran away in fear. What? A look of disbelief flashed across the green-robed man's eyes. His unique skill of controlling poisonous insects had always been very effective. There had been many grandmasters who had been exhausted to death by his poisonous insects. Although Ling Xiao was powerful, he was not a match for the poisonous insects in the fierce Beast Mountain range. But who would have thought that when these poisonous insects saw Ling Xiao, they would turn around and run away like mice seeing a cat? Woo woo woo, the deep sound of the flute sounded. The green-robed man gritted his teeth and continued to blow the jade flute in his hand to control the poisonous insects to attack Ling Xiao. However, the poisonous insects were not as obedient as he imagined. At this moment, they seemed to be scared out of their wits. They did not care about the control of the flute and fled in all directions. Don't waste your energy. Poisonous insects can't do anything to me. Ling Xiao's cold voice sounded behind the green-robed man. The green-robed man stiffened and felt a cold murderous intent locking onto him. If he made the slightest movement, he would be killed on the spot by Ling Xiao. Why didn't those poisonous insects attack you? You. What secret are you hiding? The green-robed man was very unwilling to give up. He slowly turned his head with a very ugly expression. 3 meters behind him, Ling Xiao stood with his hands behind his back. His figure was tall and slender, and his expression was indifferent. However, there was a sharp sword light all over his body, making it impossible for the green-robed man to escape. Summer insects can't be spoken of in the ice. Even ants can't shake the divine dragon. What's a mere venomous bug? Tell me, how do you want to die? Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent, as if he did not care about the green-robed man at all. You want to kill me? don't you want to force something out of me? For example, the secrets of hell, or who wants to kill you? The green-robed man looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Although he was prepared to die, he did not expect Ling Xiao to be so decisive. Secrets of hell. You're only at the 3rd level of the Dragon Tiger realm. You're just a silver metal assassin. How could you possibly know the secrets of the underworld? Besides, do I need you to tell me who wants to kill me? Ling Xiao sneered and said coldly. Previously, Ling Xiao had been assassinated by the assassin who disguised himself as a guard of the Demon Lord's mansion at the Longevity sect. He had already used a secret spiritual technique to interrogate him. In the end, the silver metal assassin knew nothing about the secrets of hell. He only accepted missions at a stronghold and received rewards for completing them. As for where the headquarters of hell was and who the higher-ups were, the silver metal assassin had no right to know. Ling Xiao guessed that perhaps only a gold metal assassin would know some of the secrets of hell. You're right. I'm indeed only a silver metal assassin. However, I don't want to die here. I'll tell you some secrets. How about you spare my life? The green-robed man said dejectedly. His eyes showed that he was unwilling to give up. Then we'll have to see if your secrets are worth your life. Ling Xiao said noncommittally. The green-robed man's eyes flashed. He said, don't worry. I won't let you down. Although I'm only a silver metal assassin, I've learned some secrets of hell by chance. In hell, there's a king of hell, 4 ghost kings, and 9 guardians. They're the core higher-ups. Apart from them, there are the heaven rank assassins and gold metal assassins. They're the true kings of hell. Many silver metal assassins and bronze metal assassins are peripheral members. They don't know the secrets of hell at all. The green-robed man slowly revealed the structure and secrets of hell. A king of hell and 4 ghost kings. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. A powerhouse who could be called a king must have reached the noble realm. The fact that hell dared to call itself a king of hell meant that their strength was unfathomable. They were probably not much weaker than those martial arts holy lands. The 9 guardians and the heaven rank assassins should be celestial realm powerhouses. The gold metal assassins should be master realm powerhouses. Based on this calculation, the power of hell was indeed incomparably huge. Ling Xiao was not afraid of a silver metal assassin. However, a top gold metal assassin could pose a great threat to Ling Xiao. If a heaven rank assassin was sent, Ling Xiao would undoubtedly die. However, the Demon King's mansion was now weak. The Ling family's great elder was only at the master realm. It was impossible for them to pay such a price. Ling Xiao's mind turned, but his expression was still cold. He said, these secrets aren't enough to buy your life. The green-robed man glanced at Ling Xiao and said, there's another secret that you'll definitely be interested in. This time, the Ling family's great elder, Ling Yunxiang, asked hell to assassinate you. There's another person. Who? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of light. The 7th prince of the great barren ancient kingdom, Xia Yunjie. The green-robed man said with certainty. The 7th prince Xia Yunjie. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. This was the first time he had heard of the 7th prince Xia Yunjie's name. He shouldn't have any grudges with Xia Yunjie. Why would Xia Yunjie ask someone from hell to assassinate him? The green-robed man seemed to see the doubt in Ling Xiao's eyes. He explained, the 7th prince Xia Yunjie and the little princess Xia Hongxiu have the same mother. Furthermore, they both entered the Sun Moon Star sect. I heard that Xia Yunjie wants Xia Hongxiu to marry the son of an elder of the Sun Moon Star sect. The green-robed man paused. Ling Xiao instantly understood. Is it because of my engagement with Xia Hongxiu? This Xia Yunjie is truly a vicious and merciless fellow. Very good. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He didn't expect that because of this engagement, he would be hated by 2 groups of people. Other than Xia Yunjie, the Ling family still had Ling Tianxi. Although the things you said aren't enough to buy your life, I'm in a good mood today. I don't want to kill anyone. Leave your storage bag and scram. Chapter 101. However, Ling Xiao's words made the green-robed man's expression change drastically. The green-robed man kept his storage bag close to his body. He originally thought that no one would discover it, but he did not expect Ling Xiao to expose it. Young Master Ling. Don't joke around. I don't have any storage bag. Why don't I give you my deworming technique? This is the most precious thing I have on me. The green-robed man swallowed his saliva and laughed dryly, but his feet began to retreat without leaving a trace. Joke? I never joke. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. Either hand over the storage bag or die. You're the one who's going to die. Die. The green-robed man's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of madness. 3 black balls appeared in his hands, and he suddenly shot them towards Ling Xiao. The green-robed man, on the other hand, scuttled and retreated rapidly. Boom! The green-robed man and Ling Xiao were less than 10 feet apart. Those 3 black balls neared Ling Xiao almost instantly, then suddenly exploded. The 3 black metal balls exploded into thousands of densely packed fragments, and a green light and fog exploded from within, instantly drowning Ling Xiao. Let's see if you can still survive after being hit by my thunderbolt poison pearl. The green-robed man laughed coldly, but he was also very cautious. He did not turn around to check if Ling Xiao was dead or alive, but instead continued to flee into the distance. Thunderbolt poison pearl. It's indeed very powerful. Even if a master was caught off guard, he would also be blown to death by you. Ling Xiao's calm voice suddenly sounded behind the green-robed man. The green-robed man's eyes revealed a trace of disbelief and shock, but he still did not turn around. His speed was pushed to the limit. How can it be? How can he not die? The green-robed man roared in his heart, but in the next moment, a snow-white sword light swept across the sky like the sun, illuminating the dark forest, and swept the green-robed man's head into the sky. A bloody light flashed, and the green-robed man's shocked and unwilling eyes were reflected. The headless corpse crashed to the ground. The evil vanquisher ancient sword returned to its sheath. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of mockery as he slowly walked over. Although the green-robed man's sneak attack just now caught him off guard, how strong was Ling Xiao's spiritual power? He had long sensed that the green-robed man was up to no good. Therefore, the instant the green-robed man threw out the thunderbolt poison pearl, Ling Xiao executed the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique and teleported away. The green-robed man was only at the 3rd level of the Dragon Tiger realm, so how could he possibly be a match for Ling Xiao? With a single slash, a head fell to the ground. Picking up the green-robed man's clothes, Ling Xiao found a black storage pouch on his chest. The green-robed man did not hesitate to risk his life and was unwilling to give the storage bag to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was also very curious about the contents of the storage bag. The black storage bag was opened, and the contents inside were poured out. The green-robed man was extremely wealthy. He had over 300,000 supreme-grade spirit stones, 2 supreme-grade spirit weapons, a few bottles of pills, and a silver token. Ling Xiao only took a glance before shifting his gaze away. Finally, his gaze landed on the 2 books and a piece of animal skin scroll. The Phantom Spirit Incantation and the Secrets of Hell. In the 2 ancient books, the Phantom Spirit Incantation was actually a martial art from the Wanshou sect. Although it was only a low-grade earth-grade technique, it could communicate with ferocious beasts and spiritual insects and guide them to kill the enemy. Ling Xiao did not expect the green-robed man to cultivate a martial art from the Wanshou sect. The Secrets of Hell was actually written by the green-robed man himself. It recorded the personnel structure of Hell, the structure of the organization, the location of the branch, and other secret places. Everything was recorded down. What shocked Ling Xiao even more was that according to the green-robed man's guess, the real core of Hell should be in the ferocious Beast Mountain range. Could this green-robed man be a spy planted by the Wanshou sect in Hell? A mere silver token assassin actually knows so much about Hell's secrets. It seems like his identity is not ordinary. Ling Xiao was a little regretful that he did not leave the green-robed man alive. He might be able to get some secrets out of him. Finally, Ling Xiao's gaze fell on the ancient animal skin scroll. There was actually a map recorded on the animal skin. It was densely packed with small rune characters, and it looked dazzling. Moreover, the edges of the map were incomplete. This meant that there was more than one map, and there should be other animal skin scrolls. What a strange animal skin. It was actually refined into a secret treasure. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This animal skin scroll was very extraordinary. Even he did not know what kind of ferocious beast's skin it was from. Moreover, it could not be torn apart. It was impervious to water and fire. However, those runes were silent. Perhaps he would only know the function of those runes when he collected the other maps. It seems that the problem lies in this animal skin scroll. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Although he did not know where the map on the animal skin scroll pointed to, it must be something extraordinary. He kept the animal skin scroll in his longevity ring. Then, he took out a crystal the size of a goose egg. It was transparent and flawless. It contained a vast amount of spiritual qi. He began to absorb the spiritual qi in it to restore his cultivation. Although the battle with the underworld's assassin seemed to be very easy for Ling Xiao, he had still expended a lot of energy. Much of the true energy in his qi si had dried up. The transparent crystal that he took out was called a spiritual crystal. It was a treasure that was even more precious than a supreme-grade spiritual stone. The spiritual qi it contained was hundreds or thousands of times more than that of an ordinary supreme-grade spiritual stone. Moreover, it did not contain any impurities. It was the purest essence of spiritual qi. After reaching the celestial realm, ordinary spiritual stones could not satisfy their cultivation needs. Only treasures like the spiritual crystal could satisfy their cultivation needs. When Ling Xiao was at Longevity Mountain, he had activated the sky-devouring supreme statue and killed the celestial realm Kuan Shi. He had also obtained Kuan Shi's storage pouch. However, the items in Kuan Shi's storage pouch disappointed Ling Xiao greatly. In the storage pouch, there was only a peerless Earth-class martial skill, the Sky Snake King Palm. There were a few middle and lower Earth-class martial skills. Ling Xiao threw them all to Nangong Xian. As for the precious weapons, there was only a high-grade precious sword, a few bottles of precious pills, and some miscellaneous items. There was nothing that caught Ling Xiao's eye. The only thing that caught Ling Xiao's attention was the 360 spiritual crystals. They were all sealed in jade boxes and contained a vast amount of spiritual qi. The reason why Ling Xiao used the spiritual crystals to cultivate was to restore his cultivation as soon as possible. He did not know why, but this valley made him feel uneasy. After 15 minutes, the spiritual crystals in Ling Xiao's hand disappeared. The genuine qi in his body had been replenished. The golden liquid in his qi si was surging and contained a terrifying power. However, Ling Xiao had only absorbed 1/10 of the spiritual qi. The wordless heavenly book had taken away most of the spiritual qi. This made Ling Xiao curse again. Chapter 102. Thump. 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 It was like a giant hammer hitting the ground, making the world tremble. The noises hit Ling Xiao's heart, causing his body to tremble and his face to turn pale. The entire valley suddenly became a little blurry. To be more precise, an icy cold white fog shrouded the entire valley. The surroundings were silent, and only the sound of the huge drum could be heard. It came from afar, making Ling Xiao's heart tremble. He felt like he was going to vomit blood. The white fog was like a monster that chose people to devour, emitting a chilling aura. What is this? Ling Xiao's eyes were solemn. He hurriedly used the sky-devouring secret skill to restrain his aura. Then, he tried his best to suppress the trembling of his blood. At this moment, there seemed to be footsteps coming from the white fog. Ling Xiao's figure flashed, and he hid behind a huge blue stone. He slowly looked over. Thump! 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 The huge drum became louder and louder, and a strange sound wave was emitted. It was old, melodious, and sorrowful, as if it was leading to an unknown direction. Accompanied by the sound of footsteps, a group of soldiers wearing armor and holding long spears walked out of the white fog. Their footsteps were orderly, slow, and powerful. The armor was dark, mottled, and covered in rust. The long spears in their hands had lost their luster, and some of the spearheads were broken. They looked like a group of defeated soldiers. However, the closer the soldiers got, the more uneasy Ling Xiao felt. For some reason, the white fog blocked all probing. Even Ling Xiao's mental strength could not penetrate it. Moreover, the soldiers emitted a cold, deathly, and decaying aura, as if they came from hell. Moreover, although their footsteps were orderly, they lacked vitality. It was as if they were being led forward by the strange drum. Hiss! As the soldiers got closer and closer, Ling Xiao saw their faces clearly. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. His eyes revealed an incomparably solemn expression. There was no physical body under the armor of the soldiers. There was only a black fog, revealing two balls of ghostly fire like eyes. It was as if the ghost soldiers from hell had come to the human world, emitting endless waves of deathly stillness. Why are there so many ghost soldiers? Where are they going? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered, and he didn't dare to let out even the slightest bit of aura. The heaven-devouring secret technique was activated to the extreme, and his entire body was like a cold stone, without any signs of life. In Ling Xiao's previous life, he had heard rumors of Yin soldiers crossing the border on the war god continent, but he had never seen one before. Now that he saw so many Yin soldiers, his heart was filled with shock. More and more Yin soldiers appeared within the white mist. There were hundreds and thousands of Yin soldiers as far as the eye could see. They split into two rows and marched forward in an extremely orderly manner. Rumble. The Yin soldiers were not fast. When most of them passed by Ling Xiao, the white fog behind them suddenly changed and began to churn violently. A desolate, ancient, and mysterious aura spread out as the ancient voices of dragons and phoenixes whispered. A faint light spread out as two enormous creatures appeared from the white fog. Roar! It was a huge bone dragon, with only dark bones left. The dragon's head was ferocious, and its eyes were filled with two resplendent ghostly flames. It was over 10,000 feet long, and it emitted an aura that caused the heavens and earth to tremble. The bone dragon floated in the air, following behind the Yin soldiers. Next to the ancient dragon was a huge bone phoenix. It was also over 10,000 feet long, and only its skeleton was left. Its entire body was black, but it was covered in black flames. However, the black flames did not emit any heat. Instead, it was incomparably cold, as if it could even freeze a person's soul. Behind the bone phoenix, there were 9 huge tailbones with mysterious runes engraved on them. What shocked Ling Xiao even more was that the bone dragon and bone phoenix were actually tied up by huge chains, pulling a huge bronze coffin behind them. The bronze coffin emitted a mysterious aura, and there were many runes on the coffin that Ling Xiao couldn't understand. With just a glance, he felt as if everything in the world was contained within it. It was mysterious and unfathomable. Yin soldiers opening the path, dragon and phoenix pulling the coffin. Just who is inside this coffin? Could it be an ancient godly king? Ling Xiao's heart trembled. This scene was extremely shocking. Countless Yin soldiers opening the path, and a huge bone dragon and phoenix pulling the coffin. It was already beyond Ling Xiao's imagination to have such a grand scene after death. Perhaps only the legendary divine king would have such a grand display of extravagance. Especially the bone dragon and bone phoenix. Although they were already dead, their auras seemed to be able to sweep through the 9 heavens, shatter the galaxy, and devour the heavens and earth. It was extremely terrifying, even more terrifying than a supreme being. Ling Xiao faintly guessed that perhaps the bone dragon and bone phoenix had already become gods when they were alive. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to preserve such a terrifying aura. The identity of the owner of the coffin was even more terrifying. Loud drumbeats came from nowhere, and as the Yin soldiers moved forward, the bone dragon and bone phoenix pulling the huge bronze coffin followed behind, all the way into the depths of the valley. Ling Xiao could faintly see that the direction they were heading in was a valley between two huge mountains that were tens of thousands of feet tall. Should I follow them? Ling Xiao was a little hesitant. If he followed them, he might encounter some unpredictable danger. However, if he left just like that, Ling Xiao was unwilling. Let's follow them and take a look. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He only hesitated for a moment before making up his mind. He quietly followed behind the huge bronze coffin, heading into the depths of the valley. Ling Xiao didn't dare to follow too closely. After all, although the sky-devouring secret skill was mysterious, he couldn't be sure that he wouldn't be discovered by the Yin soldiers and the dragon and phoenix in front of him. Fortunately, the Yin soldiers didn't move quickly, and Ling Xiao didn't fall behind. Ling Xiao also realized that the cold white fog seemed to exist with the Yin soldiers. After the Yin soldiers left, the white fog in the valley behind them dissipated, as if it had never existed. Ling Xiao also guessed that if he didn't follow them, he probably wouldn't have been able to see the Yin soldiers and the huge bronze coffin after walking out of the range of the white fog. Ling Xiao carefully followed the Yin soldiers and arrived at the depths of the valley. The world ahead was dark, and the white fog was boundless. Ling Xiao didn't even know where he was. His entire body was wrapped in an extremely cold aura, as if he was about to be frozen. Fortunately, the sky-devouring secret skill could also refine the Yin Qi, allowing Ling Xiao to move forward safely in the Yin Qi. Chapter 103. What is that? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of astonishment. In the vast white fog, heaven and earth were in a state of chaos. Suddenly, a huge bronze divine palace appeared. Wisps of chaotic qi filled the air. The bronze divine palace was like a towering sacred mountain, exuding an incomparably majestic aura that connected heaven and earth. The bronze divine palace seemed to be made of bronze, exuding a misty green divine light. On the walls, there were strange runes that were very mysterious, as if they were describing some kind of power of heaven and earth. The bronze divine palace was ancient, mysterious, majestic, and vicissitudes, as if it had experienced hundreds of millions of years. The aura that the bronze divine palace exuded was beyond Ling Xiao's imagination. It was like the divine palace of the gods, making people want to kneel down and worship it. How can there be such a strange place in the fearsome Beast Mountain range? Could it be a treasure left behind by the gods? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He was extremely shocked. It was hard to imagine what kind of existence could create such a powerful divine palace. The army of dead souls moved slowly. The dragon and phoenix pulled the bronze coffin in the direction of the bronze divine palace. Ling Xiao followed behind. Although he was shocked, the closer he got to the bronze divine palace, the more he dared not make any movements. He tried his best to operate the devouring heaven's secret skill to restrain his aura. Rumble. There was a loud noise. When the army of dead souls approached the bronze divine palace, the two doors of the bronze divine palace suddenly opened. Countless chaotic qi filled the air, enveloping the army of dead souls. Not long after, all the army of dead souls disappeared from the bronze divine palace, leaving only the bone dragon and bone phoenix pulling the huge bronze coffin outside the divine palace. Rumble. From the divine palace, blazing lightning radiance filled the air, enveloping the bone dragon, bone phoenix, and the bronze coffin. It was dazzling. The lightning radiance exuded chaotic colors and was mysterious. However, when it fell on the bronze coffin, a strange change occurred. The runes on the coffin seemed to be activated. They began to emit dazzling divine light, intertwining with each other like divine chains of order. The coffin slowly opened, and a divine light shot up into the sky. Boom! The divine light was dazzling, mysterious, majestic, and ancient. It seemed to have broken through heaven and earth and reached an inexplicable space-time. It was like a heavenly pillar, mysterious and unfathomable. Wang! At this moment, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness seemed to have sensed the change in the giant coffin and actually let out a slight tremor. Rays of multicolored light shot out, crisscrossing in Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness. Wang! The wordless heavenly book trembled violently and emitted a wave of excitement, as if a baby had seen its family. It emitted a peaceful aura and rushed out of Ling Zhao's body. Caught off guard, Ling Zhao's aura instantly leaked out. It was as if his entire person was exposed in this chaotic world. Not good. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of seriousness as he laughed bitterly in his heart. He did not expect that the wordless heavenly book would make a mistake at such a crucial moment. Rumble. The bronze coffin seemed to have sensed Ling Zhao's presence. The talisman characters on the coffin's body shone brightly. Suddenly, a few streaks of chaotic lightning shot out. They intertwined and rushed towards Ling Zhao. The lightning radiance emitted a boundless murderous aura and murderous intent. It was like a brilliant heavenly power, mysterious and unfathomable. Ling Zhao felt a sense of fatal danger in his heart. His expression instantly became serious. He circulated all the true qi in his body. The Cloud Dragon 9 appearances was pushed to the extreme by him, and he shot off into the distance at an extremely fast speed. Rumble. The void where Ling Zhao was just a moment ago trembled and shattered with a cracking sound. Streaks of void turbulence spread out, as if it was going to swallow everything. It can actually shatter the void? Ling Zhao's eyes revealed an extremely shocked expression. One must know that the void was incomparably sturdy. Even if one cultivated to the Supreme Being realm, one might not be able to shatter the void. Only the most powerful group of Supreme Being realm experts could barely do it. Of course, Ling Zhao was also able to do it in his previous life. Just a single streak of lightning was able to shatter the void. This also meant that this streak of chaotic lightning radiance had the power of a Supreme Being realm expert. Rumble. Ling Zhao dodged this attack. The bronze coffin seemed to be enraged. Countless talisman characters began to light up. Moreover, there was an earth-shattering roar. Countless streaks of chaotic lightning radiance intertwined together, as if they had turned into a sea of lightning, and suddenly rushed towards Ling Zhao. The sea of lightning surged, mysterious and majestic. It contained a force that could destroy heaven and earth. Moreover, its speed was extremely fast. In an instant, it was in front of Ling Zhao. In front of this sea of lightning, Ling Zhao's strength was as weak as a small boat in the sea. There was no way he could resist at all. I'm really going to die because of you. You caused this trouble. You have to solve it yourself. Ling Zhao laughed bitterly and muttered to the wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness. The lightning radiance that filled the sky enveloped him, as if it was going to tear everything into pieces. However, at the same time, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness instantly turned into a streak of light. It rushed out of Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness and floated in the void. Rumble. The 9-colored divine light was dazzling. It was a huge ancient book that seemed to emit the most profound truth of heaven and earth. It was flawless, with thousands of rays of light, and enveloped in endless auspicious aura. As soon as the wordless heavenly book appeared, the sea of lightning that filled the sky seemed to hesitate. Buzz! The wordless heavenly book trembled slightly and emitted mysterious waves, as if it was communicating with the bronze coffin. Not long after, the bronze coffin trembled violently. The sea of lightning that filled the sky turned into runes and flew back into the bronze coffin. At this point, Ling Zhao finally heaved a sigh of relief. His back was drenched in sweat. He was betting just now that the wordless heavenly book could resist the sea of lightning. As expected, he had made the right bet. As such, Ling Zhao became more and more curious. This wordless heavenly book seemed to have some mysterious connection with the bronze coffin. Ling Xiao started to feel a little unfamiliar with this world that he was originally familiar with. 10,000 years had passed. What exactly happened in these 10,000 years that caused so many things to appear in the God of War continent that Ling Xiao could not understand? For example, the wordless heavenly book, the bronze coffin, and the bronze shrine. What exactly were their origins? What kind of strange mission did they have? Whoosh! The wordless heavenly book turned into a streak of light and returned to Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. At this moment, 2 streaks of divine light shot out from the bronze coffin. They contained a gentle and majestic power and probed towards Ling Xiao. However, this time, Ling Xiao did not feel any malice from the 2 streaks of divine light. Hence, he did not resist and allowed the 2 streaks of divine light to grab him and rush into the bronze shrine. Rumble. Chapter 104. Where is this? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a strange look. Within the divine bronze palace, it was a barren land. The sky was vast and the ground was boundless. However, there were a few huge cracks in the sky. The land was ancient and desolate. There were patches of black blood that permeated the air, giving off an inexplicable sense of killing intent. Ling Xiao didn't know why the bronze coffin would send him here. He watched with his own eyes as the Yin soldiers entered this place. However, he didn't see anything at all. Rumble. At this moment, the ground began to tremble violently. Black mist began to spread from the crack in the sky, giving off an evil and dark presence. Kill! An angry roar came from somewhere, and countless figures appeared on the desolate land. The figures all had powerful auras. Their blood chi was majestic, as if they could shatter the sky. They stood on the ground, their bodies straight like mountains. Their eyes were full of fighting spirit as they stared at the cracks in the sky. Black mist spread out from the cracks in the sky. It was evil and strange, giving off an aura that could destroy everything. Boom! Powerful figures shrouded in mist descended from the cracks in this world. Those figures were shrouded in the strange black mist. It was impossible to see their figures clearly. However, their bodies were huge, like primordial ferocious beasts. They gave off terrifying waves of energy. The moment those strange black figures appeared, the war broke out. Rumble. The sky and earth were turned upside down. The earth trembled. Endless divine light exploded in an instant. Ling Xiao saw a burly man with hair fluttering in the wind. The blood chi all over his body condensed into a huge fist aura. It was like a mountain as it smashed a huge black shadow into pieces. The air was filled with death chi. Those strange black figures were even more terrifying. They covered the sky and the sun. The black divine light was unparalleled. As long as it swept across the experts below, they would be melted into a pool of blood. Some experts even lost their minds and began to attack the people around them wantonly as a strange black mist permeated the air. They can't see me. Could this be an image left behind from the primordial war? What is the origin of those strange shadows? Ling Xiao's heart trembled. Even the weakest of the human cultivators below was comparable to a supreme being. Some of the stronger ones could even shatter stars and shatter the void. This made Ling Xiao extremely shocked. However, under the attacks of the strange black shadows, a large number of experts fell, turning the place into a purgatory. That terrifying aura contained an aura that made one's soul tremble. Ling Xiao's face was incomparably pale. Ling Xiao pondered over the scene before him, pondering over the meaning of this war. But in the next moment, Ling Xiao's expression changed. This was because he felt a deadly aura. Among the black shadows in the sky, there was a black shadow the size of a calf that was staring at Ling Xiao. It let out a sharp howl and charged towards Ling Xiao. Not good. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Just a moment ago, he still felt that he was a bystander. But in the next moment, he seemed to have become a part of this world, a part of the human cultivators. He was being targeted by the strange black shadow. The black shadow approached rapidly. It was shrouded in a strange black mist. When it got closer, Ling Xiao realized that it was a ferocious beast in the shape of a cow. Its body was covered in black scales. Its eyes shone with a bloodthirsty light. There were 3 sharp horns on its head that shone with a cold light. This was a strange creature. Although it wasn't as terrifying as those above the void, Ling Xiao could sense that it had an aura comparable to a grandmaster. Since that's the case, let's fight. Ling Xiao shouted. Looking at the strange creature that was charging at him rapidly, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Since he couldn't figure it out, he wouldn't think about it anymore. At this moment, Ling Xiao only wanted to fight to his heart's content. He wanted to break through the heavens and kill all his enemies. Boom! Facing the bull-shaped creature, Ling Xiao's blood and qi surged. He threw a punch and the Vajra fist essence exploded. Like a dazzling meteor, it collided with the bull-shaped creature in an instant. There was a muffled sound in the void. The bull-shaped creature was pushed back a few steps by Ling Xiao's punch. However, Ling Xiao was also pushed back a dozen steps. His arm was numb from the shock. What a terrifying power! A sliver of shock appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. He had reached the great achievement of the serpent dragon's body, and his divine strength had reached 550,000 kilograms. However, his full-powered punch had actually been blocked by the bull-shaped being. Roar! Mama and Iom Mao. The bull-shaped creature let out a low roar and spat out a few obscure syllables. It looked at Ling Xiao with a hint of human-like surprise in its eyes. Boom! However, he was only surprised for a moment before the bull-shaped creature charged towards Ling Xiao. The 3 horns on its head were incomparably sharp, turning into 3 resplendent beams of light. They were like divine swords, resplendent and dazzling. This is not a ferocious beast, but an intelligent creature. However, it is incompatible with this world and is faintly repelled by the lock of heaven and earth. Could it be an invading creature from another world? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of brilliance as his mind spun rapidly. A sliver of battle intent appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes when he saw the bull-shaped creature charge over. It was rare for him to come across someone who could match him in terms of physical strength. Ling Xiao's battle intent was stimulated as well. Little calf, come and have a taste of this young master's punch. Ling Xiao laughed with incomparable heroism. His feet suddenly moved, and he also rushed over. At the same time, the blood in his body boiled. The flood dragon's body erupted with full strength, and the violent dragon divine ability gathered. A shocking dragon's roar resounded between heaven and earth. Roar! Like a dazzling meteor, Ling Xiao's punch shook the void. It carried an indomitable and terrifying aura. Coupled with the violent dragon divine ability, the terrifying power of Ling Xiao's punch almost reached 1,000,000 Jin. What kind of concept was 1,000,000 Jin of divine strength? In front of Ling Xiao was confident that he could kill an evolved Jing master with a single punch. Boom! Ling Xiao and the bull-shaped creature were both extremely fast. When the two of them passed each other, the bull-shaped creature's 3 horns flashed like a cold light, instantly piercing Ling Xiao's clothes and leaving 3 bloody marks on Ling Xiao's chest. Ling Xiao's punch also landed on the bull-shaped creature's giant head. Clang! Chapter 105. Roar, the bull-shaped creature growled. It looked at Ling Xiao with shock and anger. It had never thought that Ling Xiao's strength would double in such a short amount of time, even surpassing it. How could such a weak-looking ant possess such terrifying power? Ling Xiao felt a burning sensation on his chest. Strands of black gas began to surge into his body as if they were alive. It was terrifying. What? Ling Xiao's eyes widened in shock. He hurriedly used the heaven-devouring secret technique in an attempt to crush the deathly qi. However, the black gas was extremely tough. the heaven-devouring secret technique was unable to do anything to it. It surged into Ling Xiao's body. In just a short while, Ling Xiao's face was shrouded in a layer of strange black gas. Ling Xiao finally understood why the human experts had suffered so many casualties. The black gas was just too strange. Even the heaven-devouring secret technique was unable to deal with it. It was extremely difficult to deal with. God damn it, what is this black gas? Ling Xiao's expression was extremely ugly. He could only watch helplessly as the black gas spread into his body. It was a terrible feeling. However, just as the black gas was about to spread into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, the wordless heavenly book trembled slightly. A powerful and mysterious energy surged over. The black gas seemed to have met its nemesis and hurriedly retreated. However, it was already too late. The wordless heavenly book enveloped all the black gas and swallowed it. It even showed a trace of desire in a very human-like manner. The wordless heavenly book can actually devour this strange black gas. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he seemed to be deep in thought. The strange black gas was just too mysterious. It seemed to contain some kind of mysterious law of darkness. It was impossible to get rid of it. Even Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring secret technique was restrained even though it could slowly devour and refine it. Only the wordless heavenly book seemed to be the nemesis of the strange black gas. Ling Xiao finally understood why the human experts were so powerful that they could shatter galaxies and shatter the earth. However, they were invaded by the strange black gas and turned into monsters in the end. If the strange black gas invaded his sea of consciousness, he would probably become a monster like that as well. Thinking up to there, Ling Xiao could not help but shiver. He looked at the bull-shaped being before him with scorching killing intent. He had to kill it. Boom! Ling Xiao's entire body was shrouded in golden divine light. His blood qi soared to the heavens, and the flood dragon's blood seemed to have been ignited in an instant. An extremely powerful aura burst forth. The violent dragon mystique exploded, and in addition to the fist intent that Ling Xiao had comprehended, a gigantic fist aura swept across the sky like an immemorial divine mountain, pressing down on the bull-shaped being. Roar! The bull-shaped creature's eyes also revealed a trace of seriousness. With a low roar, the black fog around its body became even denser. It charged toward Ling Xiao as fast as lightning. Rumble! The gigantic fist landed on the bull-shaped creature's body, dispersing the strange black fog. The unparalleled divine power directly slammed the bull-shaped creature into the ground, producing the sound of metal clashing. Die for me! Ling Xiao's hair danced wildly in the wind. His fighting spirit was overflowing, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He punched out one after another, and the sky was filled with golden fist prints. The void trembled slightly, and an unparalleled fist will erupted. Roar! The bull-shaped creature constantly roared and did its best to counterattack. Its four limbs were like heavenly pillars, blocking the sky. At the same time, the three horns on its head emitted a black sword light. It was strange and sharp, and every move was aimed at Ling Xiao's vital points. However, with the wordless heavenly book restraining the strange black fog, Ling Xiao no longer had to worry about his attacks. The more he fought, the more ferocious he became. In the end, he almost completely suppressed the bull-shaped creature. Boom! Ling Xiao dodged the sword light from the bull-shaped creature's horn and went around its side. He threw out a punch, and the lightning was dazzling. It directly sent the bull-shaped creature flying dozens of feet. In the next moment, Ling Xiao's figure flickered as he used the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique. His entire body seemed to be hidden in the clouds as he continuously attacked the bull-shaped creature. Crack! In the end, one of the bull-shaped creature's horns was forcefully broken by Ling Xiao. Black blood filled the air, and the bull-shaped creature was in so much pain that it cried out. Nebo Zekale, the bull-shaped creature roared at Ling Xiao. There was actually a trace of fear in its eyes. It turned its head and was about to charge into the void. Want to leave? Stay here. Ling Xiao's gaze was piercingly cold. Seeing that the bull-shaped creature wanted to escape, the light in his hand flickered. The evil slayer ancient sword emitted millions of incomparably sharp sword lights that shot towards the bull-shaped creature. This sword was immeasurably brilliant. It was vast and resplendent. It shot across the sky, and it was as if endless resplendent light exploded. The infinity sword of light used the power of light to break through the darkness. Pfft! Black blood flashed. The evil slayer ancient sword directly stabbed into the bull-shaped creature's broken horn, piercing through it. The incomparably terrifying sword light wreaked havoc, destroying all life in its body. The first strange creature, dead. Before Ling Xiao could breathe a sigh of relief, he saw the strange black chi around the bull-shaped creature shoot towards him. It was all swallowed up by the wordless heavenly book. At the same time, after the bull-shaped creature was killed, its body seemed to turn transparent. It turned into a ball of resplendent multicolored light that enveloped Ling Xiao. It was warm and comfortable. A warm current seemed to surge into Ling Xiao's limbs and bones, causing the qi in his body to become even purer. Moreover, a pure stream of mental strength merged with Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, causing his mental strength to increase by a little. Killing these strange creatures can actually purify my qi and increase my mental strength? Ling Xiao's body trembled. His eyes revealed a look of surprise and joy. If that was the case, this battlefield was truly a treasure trove, a supreme cultivation treasure trove. If he could continue to fight, Ling Xiao's spiritual qi would be purified to the extreme, and his mental strength would also become incomparably powerful. Ling Xiao's gaze became somewhat fervent. He looked at the creatures in the black mist in the void with blazing eyes. It was as if he was looking at prey. Looks like it's because of the connection between the wordless heavenly book and the bronze coffin that I was able to enter the bronze temple and obtain this great opportunity. Ling Xiao's heart surged with understanding. Moreover, he felt that after the wordless heavenly book swallowed the strange black qi, it was as if it had eaten a great tonic. The golden light that enveloped the wordless heavenly book increased by a little. If this continued, if Ling Xiao continued to let the wordless heavenly book swallow the black qi, when the wordless heavenly book was filled with golden light, wouldn't he be able to obtain another secret technique? Chapter 106. Kill. Ling Xiao no longer hesitated. His entire body exuded a monstrous battle intent, and he took the initiative to attack the strange creatures in the black fog. The battle continued. The supreme masters of the human race fought with the demonic shadows in the void above, erupting with earth-shattering power. Ling Xiao's state was very strange. He was like a bystander because the supreme masters did not notice him at all. However, Ling Xiao felt as if he was really in the middle of a battlefield. This was because those weak strange creatures could sense his existence and attack him. Boom! Golden light blazed in the void, and the fist radiance was unparalleled. Ling Xiao used the Vajra fist will to kill a black wolf-shaped creature. Chi! An incomparably sharp sword light streaked across the sky, slicing a huge ferocious beast covered in scales into pieces. The black fog was absorbed by the wordless heavenly book, and the essence of the wolf-shaped creature's energy was integrated into Ling Xiao's body, increasing his mental strength by a lot. Swoosh! Swoosh! Ling Xiao was in the mood to kill. The evil slayer ancient sword was unparalleled, emitting billions of sword radiances. The infinite light sword and the infinite darkness sword were superb in Ling Xiao's hands. Countless strange creatures were killed by him and turned into the essence of his energy. Just like that, Ling Xiao seemed to be tireless and forgot about time, fighting bloody battles on this battlefield. Ling Xiao's mental strength was getting stronger and stronger. His mental strength had already reached the level of a low-grade alchemy master, and now it was climbing toward the level of a mid-grade alchemy master. Specks of golden light fused into his body, causing his body to undergo some kind of strange change. It was as if he had been reborn. Some of the impurities were expelled from his body, and the impurities were turned into nothingness, leaving only his skin of ice and bones of jade. Born Taoism aptitude, his entire body was flawless and emitted a strange fragrance. As for the wordless heavenly book, after devouring a large amount of black fog, it seemed to have eaten a great tonic. The golden light on the book increased. When Ling Xiao killed the 1,000th strange creature, the golden light on the wordless heavenly book had reached 80%. At the same time, Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness shone brightly. His mental strength seemed to have gradually begun to solidify, turning into a faint golden figure. Ling Xiao's spiritual energy had reached the level of a middle-grade alchemy master. At this rate, I only need to kill another 200-odd creatures, and the golden light on the wordless heavenly book will reach perfection. By then, the third secret skill will appear. Ling Xiao let out a long howl as his eyes shone with a brilliant golden light. At this moment, his black hair was fluttering in the wind, and his body was glowing. His flesh, blood, tendons, and bones were all emitting a jade-like luster. The Zhen Qi in his body was like a vast ocean. With a slight movement, it could seep out of his body and form a powerful protective Zhen Qi. His entire body exuded a Xiantian aura. The essence energy of those strange creatures had caused his aptitude to undergo an earth-shattering change. He could feel the power of the laws of heaven and earth more clearly. His current aptitude was already comparable to those monsters. Aptitudes could be divided into trash, normal, genius, monster, king, supreme youth, and innate god. In the past, Ling Xiao's aptitude was considered trash among trash. However, after cultivating the heaven-devouring secret technique and the ancestral dragon secret technique, Ling Xiao's aptitude had finally reached the level of a monstrous genius. At the level of a monster, it was extremely rare. In martial holy lands like the Sun Moon Stars sect and the Wanshou sect, it was at least the aptitude of a true disciple. The stronger one's aptitude, the easier it was for them to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. It was also easier for them to comprehend the mysteries of martial arts and become a peerless expert. When Ling Xiao left the longevity sect, his aptitude could only be considered to be at the level of a genius. Now that he had relied on refining the essence of the strange creature to suddenly leap to a higher level, Ling Xiao was naturally incomparably excited. Just as Ling Xiao was about to kill more of the strange creatures in one go, the entire world suddenly began to tremble violently. Rumble. More and more cracks appeared in the sky as the earth shook violently. Incomparable experts from the human tribe and those demonic shadows turned into dust one after another. A huge eye appeared in the void above. That eye was a strange black color, like a black sun. It made Ling Xiao feel as though his soul was being seen through. His body turned cold and his scalp went numb. What is that? Ling Xiao's body shook violently as he couldn't help but exclaim. At the same time, two streaks of light swept up Ling Xiao. With a flash of resplendent light, they took Ling Xiao away from the world. When Ling Xiao opened his eyes, he was already outside the bronze divine palace. Rumble. Endless lightning flashed and the sky shook. Endless chaotic fog filled the air as black cracks appeared in the 9 heavens. A black eye, like a black sun, pierced through the chaotic fog and fell from the 9 heavens. In an instant, black demonic qi gushed out. Strands of black divine light intertwined like divine chains of order and swept downwards. An aura that seemed to be able to destroy the world burst out majestically. Whose eye is that? Ling Xiao exclaimed as an incomparably grave expression appeared in his eyes. Demonic light enveloped the entire sky as strands of aura pressed down, causing Ling Xiao's entire body to tremble as he abruptly spat out a mouthful of blood. How dare you! At this moment, an old and majestic voice rang out. It was like a bell that shook the heavens. The bronze coffin shone brightly as the lid of the coffin slowly opened. A huge hand reached out from the bronze coffin. It was like an ancient divine mountain that was going against the flow as it slammed towards the huge eye. You've been dead for 1,000,000 years. Are you still trying to stop me? The cryptic syllables rang out, exuding a strange spiritual fluctuation. Ling Xiao understood the meaning of the words almost instantly. Obviously, these words were uttered by the owner of the eye in the void. Rumble. The black eye blinked. Monstrous demonic chi shot down like a huge light pillar. It emitted a dark, evil, ancient, and terrifying aura as though it wanted to turn everything into eternal darkness. Boom! The huge hand collided with the demonic chi light pillar, triggering billions of bolts of lightning. Large swaths of the void shattered as if 10,000 suns had exploded. The scene was extremely terrifying. Spurt, Ling Xiao was only swept by a faint ripple, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. All the bones in his body were crushed by the monstrous force. He was heavily injured in an instant. This power has already surpassed the peak of human Tao. Could it be that there are still true gods on this continent? Ling Xiao's voice was filled with unconcealable shock. His face was as pale as paper, and his aura was extremely weak. Chapter 107. With one blow, chaos shook, heaven and earth shattered, and the endless precepts were turned into dust. Everything ceased to exist. Ling Xiao was also in a life and death crisis. Buzz. The wordless heavenly book seemed to have sensed Ling Xiao's condition. With a buzz, it rushed out of Ling Xiao's mind and emitted a soft light that enveloped Ling Xiao. Suddenly, the pressure that filled the sky dissipated. The aura of the heavenly book. The obscure syllables sounded again. The huge eye above the ninth heaven flashed and instantly saw the wordless heavenly book above Ling Xiao's head. A majestic pressure poured down. Ling Xiao was like an ant being stared at by a divine dragon. Even the depths of his soul emitted a chill. Whoosh! A black devil chi came across the sky and turned into a giant devil chi hand that grabbed at the wordless heavenly book. How dare you! The voice of the owner of the bronze coffin sounded again. The towering giant hand intercepted the attack and slammed down. It was as if the sky and earth had been turned upside down, and the giant hand of demonic chi was smashed into pieces. At the same time, a bright divine light flashed from the bronze coffin and enveloped Ling Xiao. In an instant, it pierced through the void. Boom! The giant eye in the void seemed to be enraged as well. Streaks of black demonic light streaked across the sky at an extremely fast speed. Although most of them were intercepted by the giant hand, there was still a streak of demonic light that chased after Ling Xiao. Since it has chosen you, you have to bear the responsibility. Fortune and misfortune are unparalleled. Follow the will of the heavens. A faint sigh sounded in Ling Xiao's ears, containing some kind of sigh and sorrow. Before Ling Xiao could hear it clearly, the giant devil chi light hit the barrier on his body. His body shook violently and he fainted instantly. Ling Xiao's figure reappeared in the ferocious beast mountain range. However, the bronze coffin, bone dragon, bone phoenix, bronze temple, and giant eye had all disappeared. Ling Xiao lay on a patch of grass. His breath was weak and his face was pale. The bright red blood at the corner of his mouth proved that everything that had just happened was not an illusion, but real. In his coma, Ling Xiao seemed to see the vast earth, the dark sky, and countless experts fighting. The sky was broken and blood flowed like a river. It was like a Shura hell. Ling Xiao even saw himself becoming a part of it, conquering the world and bathing in blood. In the end, when everything gradually calmed down, Ling Xiao saw a beam of light and slowly opened his eyes in the darkness. The first thing that came into view was a crude tent with some miscellaneous items placed around it. Where is this? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback as a trace of doubt appeared in his eyes. He remembered that he had been enveloped by the light of the bronze coffin and pierced through the void. He had also been struck by a beam of demonic light and fainted. When he woke up, he saw the scene in front of him. As if she had heard Ling Xiao's movements, a little girl of about 11 or 12 years old ran over. She had big round eyes, clear and innocent. She wore a green dress, and her skin was as white as jade. She looked like a porcelain doll. You're finally awake. Big brother, you've slept for 3 days and 3 nights. The little girl tilted her head and looked at Ling Xiao in surprise. Where is this? Why am I here? When Ling Xiao saw that the little girl in front of him didn't sense any dangerous aura, he relaxed and asked. Of course, this is our Heavenly Escort Agency's station. Big brother, don't you remember yourself? 3 days ago, we found you on a grassland. At that time, you were covered in blood. It was so scary. In the end, my father saved you and gave you a healing elixir. But we didn't expect you to be unconscious for 3 days and 3 nights. Big brother, were there bad people after you? The little girl didn't seem to be afraid of strangers at all. She looked at Ling Xiao like a curious baby and then explained. Were you the one who saved me? Thank you so much, little sister. I did meet bad people. Fortunately, little sister, you're so kind, so I was able to keep my life. Ling Xiao smiled gently. He had a good impression of the innocent little girl in front of him. At the same time, Ling Xiao was a little scared. Fortunately, he was saved. Otherwise, he would have been eaten by those fierce beasts in the fearsome Beast Mountain range for 3 days and 3 nights. The little girl was a little embarrassed and said shyly, actually, it wasn't just me. My father and sister also saved you. Oh right, I'm going to tell my father and sister that you're awake. If they know, they'll be very happy. The little girl patted her forehead and ran out excitedly. Ling Xiao looked at the little girl's figure and smiled. Then, he began to check the injuries on his body. The longevity ring was hidden under his skin and no one had discovered it. Ling Xiao was a little relieved. But when he saw the injuries in his body, he frowned. Ling Xiao's injuries were too severe. In that chaotic space, the battle between the two peerless experts had destroyed the heavens and the earth. Just a trace of the aftermath had almost taken Ling Xiao's life. More importantly, although the last ray of demonic light that chased after him didn't break the defensive boundary of the giant bronze coffin, it almost broke all the meridians in Ling Xiao's body. In these 3 days, although Ling Xiao fell into a coma, the sky-devouring secret skill was operating on its own. It slowly absorbed the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Most of the broken bones in his body had been reconnected. However, the meridians in Ling Xiao's body were extremely bad. The genuine qi in his body was raging, and his organs were shaken. His internal injuries were very serious. If an ordinary person were to suffer such an injury, even if they could preserve their life, their cultivation would be crippled. Ling Xiao estimated that even if he operated the sky-devouring secret skill to recover his cultivation, it would take him at least 10 days to repair his broken meridians and heal himself. It could be said that this was the most serious injury Ling Xiao had suffered since his rebirth. This time, I really escaped with my life. I wonder who the owner of the giant bronze coffin is. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly, but his eyes were full of doubts. The passage of the ghost soldiers, the dragon and phoenix pulling the coffin, the bronze temple, the mysterious ancient battlefield, all of these shocked Ling Xiao. It seemed that there were many places in this world that he didn't know. It was full of endless mysteries. Ha! Little brother, you're finally awake. While Ling Xiao was deep in thought, a hearty laughter sounded. A burly middle-aged man walked in from outside the tent with a smile on his face. The burly middle-aged man was dressed in black and had a strong aura. He was actually at the first level of the Grandmaster realm. His body exuded a strong murderous aura. It seemed that he had been through a lot of fighting recently. Behind him, other than the little girl Ling Xiao saw just now, there was a young girl about 16 or 17 years old. The young girl was extremely beautiful. She was dressed in green and had a long sword on her back. Her figure was graceful, and her skin was snow-white. She looked valiant and had a unique temperament. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.